like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Team this season, kind of the pieces that we've been able to put in place just on offense and defense, coaching staff-wise, the full organization. I feel like we have this belief that we're collectively getting better every single week, and kind of this offseason is a continual process of that. So I think there's a lot of excitement, and for me, I'm going to do everything I can and do my job to continue to get better. And
What are the things you feel like you need to sharpen up? I know it's early in the offseason already, but what are some of the areas you feel like you need to sharpen up?
I think it's just continual reps of the offense, mastering it, making sure my footwork's dialed. I think I'm just really excited to be able to do that, to kind of develop that chemistry with a lot of the guys. I think you can't ever, it's a constant process. So for me, looking back at these games, figuring out how I can be more consistent that way and be able to show up.
What are some of the things you learned about your teammates along the way this season?
I mean, for me, it's been so much fun because of how close we are. And I think that's the biggest learning lesson is I feel like the success that we've had is a tribute to the culture, that Kellen has developed here, the culture that our leaders on the team have developed, and that is just having fun together and working hard and going back to our process. So for me, it's just been a great thing to kind of reiterate going into next year and having that high standard set.
What do you think your improved footwork will allow you to do if you accomplish your goal of improving that? Where will you get better because of that?
Yeah, I think it's just more consistency as far as you don't know what play is going to matter throughout the game, and I think that's a thing that every quarterback in the NFL can continue to get better at and make consistent because each play is unique. So how do you make it more consistent? And I think that's for me is the constant pursuit of perfection that I love about this position. And I think overall, it's just there's so many little things that we can all get better at, including myself. And that's the exciting part of it because I feel like we've shown a lot of promise. And for me, just mastering the offense, developing chemistry with our receivers, and figuring out how we can stack those wins.
All right, shout out to the family. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in this one. This is the Monday stream, man, 2025 season review. Season in the books, man. If one thing we know for certain is that we found a quarterback heading into the future, and that is a big plus going forward. So it's been a lot popping on this Monday. Saints obviously did not make the postseason, but in the end, the real key to it is the fact that, like I said, we found a QB of the future. Kellen Moore can build around use the offensive line to improve not only just Tyler Shuck, but it's also the fact that the Saints have found themselves a sense of identity, and that's something that we can be proud of. The Saints have now discovered an identity. They have an identity. And that's what they were playing behind in these games. The Miami Dolphins game was a drop touchdown catch. We could have beat them. A few games during the season were wins that we allowed to get away, but it's a part of the building process of learning how to win and gutting it out. Despite the fact the Saints were missing key starters all over the place, they made it respectable down the stretch. And that's positive. You hear what Tyler Shuck is talking about, and it's a positive, man, no matter how you slice it, man. Finishing, and I do think that ultimately he did enough to secure the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he'll end up getting that in time. We'll learn, once they hold the award, I think he'll be announced as that guy, and that'll be a plus in the first that we've seen. But it does bode well for the Saints moving into this upcoming offseason, as then they'll be about the business of building up the offensive line, adding more depth, deciding on what players come back versus ones that don't come back, and we'll see what it is. So anyway, big ups to you. Appreciate y'all guys for being in the stream. Rose, shout out to you. OG, much love. Yin, I see you. Abraham, big ups to you. Much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all. What's up, fam? What's up, L? Hit that like button, fam, as we up in this thing, man. We talking black and gold on this Monday, man, and it's a lot to talk about, man. There's several other interviews we're going to play during the stream, but really just recapping what happened during this year. Like I said, it didn't reach the results that we wanted to see. We didn't want to ultimately not make the playoffs, but it does put us on a footing where we know what we need to address. And finding, man, listen, that's really big. Finding the right guy at the helm, right? We talking about a guy that went 5-4 as a rookie. Makeshift offensive line. We did have Chris Olave up until the end of the year when he was out the final game. Juwan Johnson had a monster year on the back end, really putting it all together. The defense stepped up and was admirable. So we'll approach that accordingly. We'll talk about all these different all these different questions that will be asked about in terms of who comes back, who should come back, what should the Saints pivot and do. But, man, listen, a lot of work need to be done, but I am very encouraged based on what I did see. Very proud. Tyler Shuck should be the Rookie of the Year. That's phenomenal. Chris Olave will return. He should get his payday. Should get his payday. He was a monster. He was a monster in this year. He should get his payday. Demario Davis and both Cam Jordan want to play an additional year. Cam finished with 10.5 sacks. He should be allowed to go. Demario Davis also mentioned this past Thursday, and also he did kind of allude to it in the presser at the end of the game, that he himself also wanted to play. So, like I said, man, they feel like it's not the end of the chapter, for them. And when they're playing that high, when you have Demario Davis leading the team in sacks, over 140 tackles, a career high. As old as he is, no disrespect, but as the senior members of the team, and when your senior members of the team or your high-performing people, you don't usually see this. When guys they kind of teeter off. So we kind of in rarefied water and air, if you know what I mean. You don't usually see a guy that's 36, 37 years old get 140 tackles in a year. You see Cam Jordan in 4 years, it's the most sacks, double-digit sacks, the first time in 4 or 5 years that he was doing it, and he wants to come back and do it again. All, shout out to you, man. Yeah, OG said we eliminated from the playoff contention on Sunday, November 30th. Yeah, indeed. We've been eliminated. That's, this is true. But the reality is, going forward, getting something out of the losing season is a part of it. It matters not if you stumble, fumble, and continue to doing the same stuff. You needed to answer some questions, coming out of this thing, and it seems like they did do that in terms of the offense and the defense. They're playing well. Now, special teams, that's something we have to look at. We did get Charlie Smith there, but Galliano, I don't think they'll fire Galliano, but there's definitely improvement that need to happen from that position dealing with the special teams. All right, anyway, that's Tyler Shuck, what he said. Let's hear from Cam Jordan, man. Cam Jordan, always entertaining. Cam Jordan, he talked about coming back as a Saint.
Cam, you mentioned
more than just cousins.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you have to talk to Nikki about everything.
Yeah, we talked on the plane. That was pretty quick. I thought it was gonna go longer.
How did that go?
Yeah, pretty. She was like, so are we playing next year? I was like, am I allowed to play next year? I said, and she's like, well, are you telling me or asking? I was like, I'm always asking. I would love for you to be in full support. She said you got 100% support, so that was pretty quick. Yeah. She demanded something, and I acquiesced, and then she acquiesced to what I demanded, and it was pretty. And that's what we call solid negotiation. Everybody left happy.
Does that mean it's here? You'd like to be here? Like the kids are here?
Where else would I rather be? Unless, again, I think we've said it. At least we beat this drum 3,000 times over the last 5 years. Until they don't want me anymore, this is where I've always wanted to be. I showed that time and time and again, and all I ask for is the right opportunity to give myself a chance to display my ability, which some would say is a team leading situation.
You talked about it yesterday on the podium a little bit, so the word appreciation.
Yeah.
Be somewhere we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
15 years into it, after the 15th year, do you still feel appreciated here? And
Absolutely. You've talked about what the city means to me and how I feel about the city, and the city tells me every day. Being out, being able to talk to these schools, being able to start my foundation here, being able to send kids from Louisiana to colleges. And I'm overly blessed, and I'm always appreciative of all the opportunities I'm even being put in positions in. In terms of team appreciation, we have one of the best locker rooms. It sucks this year that we didn't have more success, because even the guys that get added on late, you talk about it's time, or estimate, I guess is the proper name. Audric has been phenomenal. Evan's been great. Ronnie Bell, our core guys. You talk about Demario Davis, you talk about Brian Brzee, Chase Young, the way he's came on this year, and just the young guys that came through, Jonas Sanker to Quincy Riley. Probably say Jonas leading the charge, Tyler leading the charge. The way that he came on strong last night. There's so many great people in this locker room. You talk about Ike, Mike. You can go through the gambit. I mean, hell, I miss Rashid Shaheed the moment he left. We had so many good people in this locker room. So to go into this offseason and be in a place that I've never been before, okay, but to leave this locker room in general, that's what hurts the most.
That's a part of it right there. A lot of people. It's Cam coming back again. A lot of people say go for it. You heard what he said there. Been very vocal about it, about playing an additional year. And like I said, as long as Cam is producing, the Saints are going to listen. And I think this is a team that will re-sign, ultimately grant guys like Demario Davis and Cam Jordan an additional year. There's still a lot of money that we owe both these players in terms of voided contracts and stuff of that sort. So we'll see what they got going on that, see how Mickey Loomis and Kai Hartley and those guys will work the money for Cam Jordan. I don't know if it'll be big money that breaks the bank, so to speak, you know what I mean? Because I think they'll probably have to bring him back at a reduced rate, something that's team friendly, because we've seen this happen before with some of our really great older players that then you see even Drew Brees in the final year took a reduction in pay. And you see other guys do it too to stay around. Cam and Demario want to be here. They don't want to go anywhere else. Then ultimately you'll see guys like that take a reduced rate to stay with the team, because the reality is there are other players that's on that are big younger players that have been really impactful equally well. Cam and Demario was special, but there is other players that looking at big contracts. Chris Olave, for one, is looking at a big contract. He's on the final year of this $15 million situation where you might see a bump in pay from him. There's Alante Taylor. Now, the Saints usually do negotiations one player at a time. They don't do multiple negotiations, all this kind of stuff. They usually line them up one by one. This is coming from Mickey Loomis's method. So we've heard them over the last several weeks deal with, or even a couple of months now, talk about the Chris Olave extension. He himself kind of eagerly talked about them working on an extension. So we'll see where that is. But also Alante Taylor is another player who's also involved in that, who had a monster year from the Saints. He's a special commodity in terms of what the Saints special side of it, the secondary is rather, and he's a big part of that. So having Alante Taylor back here, it's going to be expensive. He's unrestricted, and if any of our impending unrestricted guys could be pulled away from us, I would have to say it probably would be him, because people are going to come, teams are going to come at, he's unrestricted. And I know he wants to sign with the Saints, but I don't think it's going to be cheap for Alante Taylor. So I know we might not get everybody back, but hey, man, I'm just putting y'all on game that he could be the one. We know Chris Olave wants to return. They have already talked about that. Matter of fact, let's hear from Chris Olave as well. He had an interview. Here we go.
I feel good right now, just taking it day by day, trying to get better. But I feel like, not bad, George. Oh, that ain't mine. It was kind of weird because I felt like I had a bruised rib after the game. Sunday night and Monday night, it was tough kind of rolling over in my sleep. But Tuesday got kind of worse, and then I contacted the trainers, came in at like 5 o'clock, and then they thought it was a kidney stone at first, but ended up going to the hospital getting CAT scans, and they found a blood clot.
Has that been relative to the back pain, or was the back issues?
No, it's way different. It was two totally different things. Like I said, I thought I had a bruised rib from the game on Sunday against Tennessee, and then Tuesday it got worse.
Did they tell you kind of right away that your recovery should be good, or did you kind of worry there, like blood clots can be
Yeah,
kind of serious?
it was. I mean, they was all in the hospital with me. All the trainers and Dr. Amos. They told me right away that I was gonna be good. So I just kind of followed their plan and trusted their word.
Chris, this might be a stupid question. Is that a football related issue? Like, was the blood clot created by a hit?
I don't know. They still trying to figure out where it came from. So I don't really know where it came from. So I'm still trying to figure it out too.
Of course, you would have liked to finish the season. How are you feeling mentally?
I feel good. I feel real good. I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like I had a good year to my standard. I feel like I left some yards out there, but I feel like I had a good year, and we finished the year off strong, especially with Tyler back there. And I'm excited for next year.
What did you think of Ronnie's one-hander there?
That was great, man. I was at the crib watching the game. We all seen it on scout team. Even since he been here, he's been a great scout player. But to have him get opportunity to game, I knew he was gonna make a play or two. So I'm grateful he was able to go out there and have fun.
Something just to watch Tyler from afar for this one game. Did you see something or some things out there? Like, oh my God, yeah, there's.
Yeah, I see that every week. Yeah, I feel like that every week. Just him, just doing his thing, creating plays. Second chance outside the pocket. He did a great job doing that. A few plays he made outside the pocket. He made one at Juwan and DP. That was huge for us. So just to see that from afar, it makes me more excited for next year.
Chris, how much more can this offense unlock when you have a quarterback who's solidified in position and everybody's kind of locked in?
It just gives the confidence in us. The first part of the route is not open. He can extend plays with his legs. He's faster than people think. He can get outside the pocket. He's looking to throw the ball down the field too. So, like I said, I'm excited going forward. We got a great quarterback.
Chris, whenever we asked you about your contract, you said like I want to reestablish myself as kind of the number one. Do you feel like you did that? Like, did you hit your goal of being that number one?
Yeah, I feel like I did. I mean, it's all up to the front office at the end of the day. I feel like I did that, especially these last 4 or 5 games. I feel like I made it clear that I could be that. So it's all up to them at the end of the day. I feel like I did my job.
What clicked in those handful of games for you?
Just going out there, being comfortable and communicating. It was all in the preparation. Just communicating with Tyler during the week, certain looks we're going to get, certain things, and just being on the same page at the end of the day. I feel like we're both talented. We both can make plays, but being on the same page, knowing what each other's thinking before and after the play, I feel like that helped us a lot.
It's up to them at the end of the day. Y'all caught that with Chris Olave. It's taken a long time to get this done. And the temperament is like, hey, man, listen, a month ago, something tell me you might have got him a little cheaper. you might have got him a little cheaper than what he's going to cost now a month later, because he excelled. He did what a player is supposed to do in the final year of his contract. He had career highs across multiple really important stats for him in terms of reception, catch yards, all this kind of stuff. I don't think he hit his career highs in terms of average yards per catch, but everything else, he ran right through it. So he says, I done did everything that I could do. It's up to them at the end of the day. And I don't know why it's taking so long for them to get this done. And we'll see what happens at the end of the day. It's been 2 months of negotiating and whatever the case may be. So we'll see what it is. They have not reported, even though they're saying they're negotiating. It has been a long negotiation process between the Saints and Chris Olave. And at the end of the day, all he did was met everything. And he now say, pay me my money. And another man, let's get to this brother here, because he's another one of these guys that's going to be saying, pay me my money too. Except, like I said, regardless of what they do with these players, if like the Saints been talking back and forth with Chris Olave about him getting this deal, getting this money done, or whether they now up to with Alontae Taylor, these are players that drive. Olave drives the Saints offense. He was there. He showed that it took a blood clot in his lung to get him out of the last game of the season. So you can see the man really shut a lot of people up in terms of what his value was. But Alontae Taylor, that's a whole nother thing in terms of what he brings. And he was really special to the secondary and the Saints defense. He showed up big time. Now, there was some breakdown plays with Alontae Taylor, like from time to time, Alontae will just go, brain neutral on some plays. Like he had the coverage on the wide receiver in the end zone. He passed the guy off to nobody and went in no man's land. And then the guy caught the touchdown in the right corner of the end zone. That was his man. What was the play with Hopkins when he was guarding Hopkins, and Hopkins, I don't know. It was a few plays for Alontae Taylor this year that you're like, what are you thinking? But at the end of the day, overall, Alontae Taylor was a stud for the Saints defense under Brandon Staley. So he gonna want to be paid. We haven't heard too much from that. So we'll see how the Saints handle it.
I think right now my mindset is I'm getting to my girl and supporting her in every way that I can. My daughter should be here anytime soon now. I'm really thankful that that's a distraction that I have to take my mind off the free agency side of things. But right now I'm just looking forward to being a dad. And me and my agent will process everything. And it's my first rodeo in free agency, so I'm going to just take it one day at a time.
Well, congratulations on the daughter. You sense the optimism in here. How tangible is it?
Really good, man. It's a great group, man. This whole locker room, offensively, defensively, special teams, Coach Moore and those guys have done a really good job bringing in the right guys. This is probably some of the most fun I've had in my 4 years. Probably the tightest that I've been with this defensive back group, and so it's really good. Bright future here for sure.
Is it kind of difficult to end the season now that you guys are ascending and you want a little bit more, obviously?
Yeah, obviously. But we're heading in the right direction. I think we can go into the offseason with the right mindset. We know we came up short with that last game, but I think this team is a very special team, very special group, and they're going to be really good next year for sure.
How would you assess your growth under Staley?
I've grown a lot. I had so much fun playing in this defensive scheme. I think I kind of talk about it. It's like one thing about Coach Staley is everybody's going to get their opportunity. You see guys doing things they might not be comfortable doing, right? Cam Jordan, Carl drop into the flat, right, and they're edge rushers, but they have to do that so that other guys can make plays, but they just know that their opportunity is going to come to go make a play as well. And so playing in this defensive scheme has allowed me to learn about myself in ways that I didn't know. And it's also allowed me to go make some plays.
Did you have an individual year you wanted to have?
Somewhat. I think I left too many interceptions out there, man. But I can't take them back now. But I had my ops, capitalized on some of them, didn't capitalize on some of them. But I live, learn, and grow. I'll be all right, though.
Did navigating the trade deadline, do you think that'll help, like the uncertainty of that, of not knowing where you're going to end up or if you're going to move? Like, do you think that'll help you as you navigate free agency as well?
I don't know, man. This is my first rodeo. Never been a free agent, but I've definitely asked a lot of questions. I've talked to DeMario. I've talked to Tyron. I've talked to some guys who's been through it. They gave me a lot of insight on it. I'm taking it one day at a time, like I said. And my agent is a dope agent, and so he's going to keep me, intact. But like I said, I'm just ready to be a dad to my daughter, man. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Super excited about that journey.
Share anything else?
All right. Shout out to Alontae Taylor, man. He had a nice year for the Saints, big year for the Saints. Looking for a payday, man. In a beautiful world, we would want to bring Alontae Taylor back and Chris Olave back. They're both important members of our team. We would definitely want to bring these guys back to the team and keep building with it. But the bottom line is they're going to have somebody that's going to come and offer some big money. Now, we know Alontae Taylor is unrestricted. There has not been much talk about the Saints negotiating with Alontae Taylor. And the reality is we could possibly lose him to a better bidder. We'll see how it all works on the other side of it. Y'all know how it goes in free agency. Some guys that you want them to sign, sometimes they don't work. But in terms of the Chris Olave thing, right? The Chris Olave thing to me has kind of got me a little, curious about this Chris Olave thing. We've been talking about negotiating with Chris Olave for months, but hadn't heard an offer. What's the offer on this Chris Olave? Do y'all know how the negotiations usually work? We haven't heard a damn thing now, no offer in terms of you usually hear, the Saints offered Chris Olave a 4-year deal at such and such amount of money. I could tell you what he wants. He wants what the wide receiver from the Jets got. His buddy from Ohio State. He wants something in that stratosphere. And he's like, oh, no, we don't know about that. That's what we were saying last year, because people were saying, well, Q, how are you going to get that money when he can't stay healthy? And then he showed you, hey, man, not only did I beat the demons that I had when I went into Carolina, he had one of his best games in Carolina. That was the same stadium he was wheeled out in an ambulance. He went in there and balled out and beat them demons down in there, and then proceeded to have the best year of his career before a blood clot stopped him. That's a lot. So at some point, you're going to have to pivot and say, man, we want him here long term. He already said that he wants to be a Saint. And he said in this same interview, we just played it, the fact that he says that I done did everything I'm supposed to do, that I could do, and it's up to them now. That's what he said. So I'm like, it's been 2 months of negotiating. I'm like, when is this going to happen? And we haven't heard anything about it. So we'll see what happens here, man. It's just strange negotiating. Usually you'll hear something. And Mickey Loomis, we'll see what he got going on at the end of the day. But we do know Cam and DeMario, Chris Olave, and Alontae Taylor all want to come back. But it is not going to be cheap for the New Orleans Saints to bring them back. Maybe for Cam and DeMario, they'll take a reduced pay for one more year. But in terms of young players like Chris Olave and Alontae Taylor, he already said he got a dope agent, so he already let you know what that means, right? He let you know, I got a dope agent. Agent ain't say, hey man, let's go get a Saints a deal. Nah, he trying to get all that paper. He trying to get all that. Shout out to the fan. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like button. This show is brought to us you by FanDuel. Shout out to FanDuel. We up in this thing. And what's really interesting, man, is the fact that on top of all that, like I said, it's been a phenomenal year in terms of what we've seen from individual production from Chris Olave, from DeMario Davis, from Cam Jordan, who got on late, Chase Young. If there were awards going out here, we talk about team MVPs and all this, of course, the rookie of the year or newcomer of the year would be Tyler Shuck, from what he was able to do as a rookie quarterback that no rookie quarterback in Saints history was able to do. Go 5-4, have a winning record. I mean, it was quarterbacks, many quarterbacks, that we've seen win a certain amount of games. We went through a treasure trove of different quarterbacks over the years, but this guy, came around and just kind of changed the narrative and the dynamic of what the Saints were dealing with. And it changes everything, because he talked about in the same interview that he is, he feeling he got an understanding now of the Kellen Moore offense and what Nussmeier and them want him to do. You've seen the offense change, because earlier in the year, that wasn't what was popping. Y'all knew it was. They were doing too much east-west stuff. They wasn't getting vertical enough. And then ultimately you've seen something pivot. And it's similar to what you hear Kellen Moore talk about, having conversations with Tyler Shuck and finding out once he secured the quarterback position and he found out, okay, I think this is the guy, wrapping it around him and giving him an opportunity to lead the way he need to lead. And in games, you just see it come out. You see portions of greatness, like him outrunning Jelani Walker. Jelani Walker's not a slouch. And he outran him to the sideline to get that touchdown. Walker's not a slouch. I mean, he was one of the best defensive athletes last year's draft. And he outran Walker. Like, who is this guy? It's Tyler Shuck, a.k.a. Shuck Norris, a.k.a. the Shuckinator. He's here. And now the Saints have to then bend their philosophy and strategy around this perceived. Now he's the franchise quarterback. So we'll kind of delve into that as well. But that is some of the main things to kind of delve into in this recap stream, is the fact that despite all the games that we did go, as the Saints finished the season, what was it, 6-11? We finished the year, and then of course we get swept by the Falcons. But I don't think it's a lot of people out there that's terribly upset about getting swept by the Falcons. It's a very weird dynamic, because usually the diehards would be really upset about losing to the Falcons, but y'all not upset about that, are y'all? I know I'm not. I was sitting up after the post game, we lost to them, and I'm sitting up here saying I'm cool with it. How we cool with it, fam? y'all remember last times we was doing shows? I wasn't cool with that, but I'm cool with it, and I'll tell you why. I'm cool with it because I understand the losing has to count for something. You know, you got an identity defensively and offensively. Family, understand this. Now, early on, like I said, these coaches got better as time went on because of the pressurized situation that the Who Dat Nation presents. We don't like losing. We don't appreciate a half-ass effort. That's number one. That's what would really get us on you. We don't care who you are or what name is on your back, all this kind of stuff. If it's a half effort out there on the football field or on the court, you're going to hear from us. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. If you don't like it, don't come down here and take this black and gold money or this red and blue money from the Pelicans. Don't take it. Because we are not forgiving to people who do not go all the way out. We ain't going to play with you on that. We will get at you. Just 100% facts. Been doing it for a while now. I'll be the main one leading the charge on you. But at the end of the day, when guys step up and handle their business and play within the boundaries of accountability and doing things the correct way, we will rock with you from here till infinity. Because we believe that is the measurement in which you need to be successful while putting on that black and gold and representing the mighty. I'm going to say it again, the mighty Who Dat Nation. I always say that, the mighty, not just the Who Dat Nation, the mighty Who Dat Nation. So in this thing about the losing to the Falcons, me personally, I'm not upset about it. Not in the slightest, because I know that it's about to be hell on y'all. That's all I got to say. It's about to be hell on y'all. And of course, in the Count Blankula knows, that's why he fired this guy. He fired Fontenot. Shout out to Fontenot. He'll find a job probably with the Saints. Yeah, we got Dimitrov here. Might as well get rid of him and bring Fontenot back. You know, he'll find a way back. Hell, he might go up there with Coach Payton. You never know. He'll land on his feet. He's a smart man. He got the experience. Good dude. He'll land on his feet. Raheem Morris won 4 straight. Wasn't enough to save his job. Count Blankula said, "I don't like your blood no more. You got to go. I got to find somebody else." And the Falcons are. They're still falconing. Falcon's gonna falcon. They still gonna be screwing around and messing up. Falcon gonna falcon. Oh yeah, Falcon gonna falcon and fall. Let me add that third part too. He gonna rise up and crash down, not fall down. He gonna crash down. You know, elevator, cut string all the way down, gravity pulling them. But inside of that, man, I'm not really mad at that. Like I said, we gathered an offensive and defensive philosophy. Our special teams need some work. But allow me to say these players that are really special, players that really showed out big this year for the New Orleans Saints. Of course, it's Tyler Shuck. We'll start with him because he's the quarterback of the team. Y'all know about all the records. We talked about it ad nauseum here on the show about what he was able to do and the stuff they was able to do, winning 5 out of 9 games, 5 and 4 in 9 games. Just awesome. And then this kid's going to end up winning the rookie of the year, and he only played 9 games. You know, so that was special to do that in the NFL. That's not something that something that you look at and say, "Oh my goodness, that ain't nothing to talk about." The guy handled his business, man. Let's just be honest. He handled his business, and like I said, he did stuff that I ain't never seen a rookie for the Saints do. I mean, I've been watching a lot of Saints football for a long time. We had veterans to come around here and do some stuff, but we ain't had no rookie to be doing all this, bro. I'm just gonna tell you something. You know, I just gonna be honest with you. I ain't never seen no rookie quarterback for the Saints do what this kid doing. Let's keep it all the way funky. So over 2,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 INTs, 49.2%. Man completed almost 60. What in this game 60? And that's the thing about him. He completes a high mark of his play. For the season, Tyler Shuck almost completed almost 68% of his passes, 91.3 rating. That's insane, man, for a rookie quarterback who was taken in the second round, and he had other people that were. It just speaks to the volume of what a good decision was to get Charlotte. It was a hell of a gamble, but in the end, man, just like with gambling, either you win or you lose. There ain't no in between. Outside of that, man, Tyler Shuck was excellent. And, of course, Chris Olave. Now, Chris didn't finish the final year, but look at these numbers here that he added on here. He had 100 catches, which is 7th in the NFL. He probably would have went higher than that. 8 in catches in yards, and over 1,100 yards. He had 9 touchdowns. He could have done a lot better than that, too. And look at that average well over 10 yards per catch, 11.6, teetering toward 12. Big numbers for Chris Olave, definitely deserving of a new contract. Plus the synergy that attaches him with Shuck is also a positive, right? Juwan Johnson was huge too. Gave Juwan Johnson a lot of criticism, and it was well-deserved criticism because, let's just be honest with you, he stunk. He was blowing blocks. His commitment to the game wasn't the same. Dropping passes, missing blocks, dropping touchdowns. Commitment to the game wasn't the same. The last 4 or 5 games, something turned on, finally. And that is the guy that we want to see. As he finished with almost 80 catches on the year. I think his former number was like 50 catches. 77 catches, almost 900 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught 11.5 yards per catch. Monster numbers for Juwan Johnson. Remember, he got that big contract last year or the year before. He got that big contract, and people are like, I don't know. But this is the Juwan Johnson that needs to show up to play every Sunday. This is a security blanket over the last 4 games. This guy is the security blanket that you had to have with your young quarterback. Plus, he also has trust and synergy along with Tyler Shuck. So this is another thing. This is also like I said, very positive. Kelvin Banks Jr. was a guy, he got hurt in the game, but there was a positive update on him. He'll be good to go in coming into the upcoming season. But man, Kelvin Banks Jr. was awesome. He was awesome this year. He gave up a couple of sacks, 1 or 2 sacks I think he gave up. But in the end, at the left tackle position, him and Tali Fuaga will be a good tandem to have, right? They were special. And then, of course, keeping onto the offense. You talk about the backup guys that came in. Fam, we were down to our 4th and 5th string running backs. Seriously. Elvin, Kendre, Devin Neal, Audric Estime, Evan Hall. That's 4th and 5th string. Running backs we had. But Audric Estime, man, with a makeshift offensive line, Audric Estime was able to average over 4 yards a carry in the times that he did his thing in 46 carries. He outrushed Bijan Robinson in the final game of the season. Like I said, Audric Estime, 5'11", 230, it is a guy with power. He needs to stick around. I'm really impressed on how he played. Also, another guy, some of these guys coming up for contracts we need to talk about, bringing them back, Luke Fortner. Luke Fortner was a guy, remember we made the trade. We sent Bink Saunders to Jacksonville for Luke Fortner. Luke Fortner was a guy that a lot of people gave kind of negative grades on. It just wasn't a good fit for him in Jacksonville. Now, this guy's a 3rd round pick that happened back in 2022, so he has some talent from out of Kentucky. And what did Luke Fortner do when he got here? He struggled at first, but boy, did he did a really wonderful job of solidifying the interior of that makeshift offensive line. and they were able to run the ball in some spots better than the starters did early in the year. And that was the offensive coordinator showing work where he was able to get makeshift offensive linemen, backup linemen involved to be able to actually open up running lanes for Audric Estime, Evan Hall, or Taysom Hill to run. Yeah, scrambling plays with Tyler Shuck also in the so they did a really wonderful job there. Of course, you go to the defensive side. We already talked about Cam and DeMario. Nate Shepard had another, just to mention a few guys. Nate Shepard was really solid this year toward the middle and toward the end of the year. He was really solid. Jonathan Bullitt, the backup, was a real solid veteran. Like you seen Nate Shepard and Bullard moving in. Divine Gacho took more of like a backup role. They were solid. Bullard and Shepard along with Jonah Williams. Let me give Jonah Williams some love because Jonah Williams would come in and he had 3 sacks, but he operated as an interior defensive lineman at 6'5", 280. And Jonah Williams was in there causing hell. He works well with Staley's system, but these are guys like some of these old veterans like Jonah and Jonathan Bullard. Those guys were solid. Now, we do get Vernon Brockton, the 3rd round raw defensive lineman, back. He'll be back nasty and getting and mixed into that rotation of players. They were fired. We talked about Cam doing what Cam do, but how about Chase Young, man? Chase Young had 10 sacks. Cam had 10.5. But Chase Young had 10 sacks this year. That's an all-time career high. And where KT at? That's all I'm asking to talk about this Chase Young phenomenon. Yeah, that's all I want to know. Did anybody out there see KT? Is KT in the chat? Where my dog KT at? I just want to have KT to kind of tell me about what's going on with this with this Chase Young phenomenon. Where's KT at? I'm looking for KT. I'm putting out an APB for KT. I'm putting out an APB for KT. I just need him to explain to me this whole Chase Young thing. He got 10 sacks. That's all I want to know. What's up, Hakeem? Shout out to Hakizzle, man. Big ups to you, bro. Trigger Trey, B-Rock, Acharimo, Dr. Gregory. What's up, fam? Appreciate you. Chantel, what's popping? Big ups to you as well. Appreciate y'all for being in this joint as well. Hit the like button, fam. But yeah, Chase Young, man. Big money contract. Missed, 5 games of the season, I want to say, fam? Didn't he miss like a month worth of football? The guy missed a month worth of football, maybe 5 or 6 games. I forget. He missed 5 or 6 games. And what did Chase Young do? Get 10 sacks. Imagine if he had that month worth of football back, man. We might be sitting on 14, 15 sacks. I mean, he couldn't be stopped in the Falcons game. He was on a tear on the back end of the season. 10 sacks. And he missed a month worth of football. That is phenomenal, man. I got to give it to the man. Chase Young represented. So he was big. He got his money. And I guess he kind of quieted some people down about that thing, right? So that's a few of them. Pete Werner had a solid year as well. We know Double D was representing. He had over 140 sacks. Who does that but Demario Davis? Danny Stutzman, kind of a co-starter with Pete Werner. They were really solid in this thing. Isaiah Stallberg was another dude that's a special team standout that more than likely they're going to end up bringing him back. Chris Rump II was also a rotational defensive end that came in and helped out in run support and put pressures. He ended up with 2 tackles. So there was quite a few people. Now the Chris Rump thing, we'll see what it is because we know Fadil Diggs is a guy that also the Saints picked up the cheap that's similar to Chris Rump there. It's the athletic build and the way they are. They're very similar players. We'll see how they handle that. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he kind of had bouts during the year where he's calling him Crystal Light McKinstry and all this kind of stuff. But toward the back end, he kind of cleaned up, right? In that sophomore year, and it kind of made sense to him in the secondary. Alante Taylor was huge in the secondary. Quincy Riley was big because we knew eventually they would move Quincy Riley in and move Isaac Yiadom out. But Alante Taylor, 59 tackles there, 2 picks, 11 pass defense. He's going to be looking for big dough in the free agency market. I'm going to prepare the Who Dat Nation for the possibility we might not. It's a possibility we might not bring him back because somebody might outbid us for his services. It happened from time to time. We'll love to see both Chris Olave and him, but I'm not seeing what I'm liking from these negotiations. It's been too many months. It's been like 2 months of negotiating, and we haven't heard a price. Then, like, I ain't like how Olave sound on that interview I just played. It was like, I done all I could do. It's up to them now. Or it's not, we ain't we now. It's them. And you see, when the money come down, I done told y'all many times that when it come down to the money, it ain't us no more. It's we and them. I and them. He said, I did all I could do. It's up to them now. Oh, we ain't we no more. We mature. We ain't none of that. Ain't none of that going on. Well, okay. And of course, like I said, Quincy Riley was big, but it was a solid 2025 class draft that really helped out the Saints. Quincy Riley, Jonas Sanker after we had the incident that happened with Julian Blackman, who was a stud veteran. He got hurt, and that opened the door for Mr. Sanker. And Mr. Sanker had a solid rookie campaign, 46 total solo tackles and 2 picks, 6 pass defense. Sanker was big for the Saints, and he was a building block going forward. And we'll see how the Saints handle that, man. But we'll see, man. That Alontae Taylor thing is going to be interesting to see. And, of course, one of the other fantastic things, Blake Grupe was going. I know y'all probably seen the half-ass tackle that Blake did on trying to tackle the guy, drew himself at him, and the guy, he just bounced off the guy's body. So the Jets guy, Grupe. But we got Charlie Smith, and Charlie Smith was sitting on the practice squad. Charlie Smith, you know, you can see his numbers here on screen. The Saints signed him to a 3-year deal under $3 million. And Charlie Smith is here for the long term. The Saints love him as a kicker, and the guy can kick. He's going to get better. I think Charlie Smith is going to get better. It's just a matter of time, man. You can call me. I mean, it's just a matter of time. I think he'll be good. And like I said, Phil Galliano had a rough year for the special teams. That need to be cleaned up. When, you know, I think he'll stick around. I don't think Kellen Moore's going to do anything, get rid of any of his people. I think he'll stay, but we definitely need to do something by Kai Kroger. Kai Kroger struggled this year. He started off strong, but then kind of struggled on the back end. Perhaps they'll run some competition at him for the upcoming draft. Or in the not draft, but perhaps the undrafted market, they'll find a punter or something to come in here to compete with them. We always known to do that. But that's some of the stuff right there to talk about them. Now let's kind of look at some other stuff right here as we moving forward, man. We know it was Black Monday that hit. This is a few of the crazy things that kind of hit for Black Monday, man. If y'all haven't heard, a bunch of firings have occurred. Arizona Cardinals fired their coach. They fired him after 3 years. He finished 3-14. That'll get you fired. And his record since being there for 3 years, 15-36, that'll get you fired. Never reached the playoffs. Never finished higher than third in the West, in the NFC West, and went 4-13 in 2023, finishing last. And then last 8-9 last year, and then the bottom fell out this year. That'll get you fired. Jonathan Gannon is gone. So the Cardinals out looking. The Raiders did cut loose Pete Carroll after 1 year. He went 3-14. And that was enough for them to say, hey, man, we done. So Las Vegas has lost 10 straight, had already wrapped up the number 1 selection in the draft, which is going to be Mendoza. And Mark Davis said that the general manager, John Spytek, was hired along with Pete Carroll last year. He and Tom Brady will be included in the search for the team's next coach. So you got Tom Brady and the general manager, John Spytek, looking for the next coach. Those two guys together will be looking to find the next coach of the Raiders to get the winning back there. Cleveland finally got rid of Kevin Stefanski. He was fired by the team after 6 years. I thought he was supposed to be. I said I would have fired him last year, but they got poor ownership up there. The Browns finished the 2025 season with a 5-12 record en route to their second straight last place finish and their 4th losing season under Stefanski. So they announced that Andrew Berry, who arrived in Cleveland with Stefanski in 2020, will remain in his position as the general manager. It was some, to put it mildly, it was some contention, right? It was some contention between him. It was some contention between him and the head coach, you know, dealing with certain quarterback. You don't have that anymore. So we'll see what the Browns do. But my goodness, The Atlanta Falcons, despite beating the Saints, it wasn't enough to save Raheem Morris. Him and Terry Fontenot was put in the street. So that was 2 seasons of losing that the Count Blankula said he's had enough of. So the Falcons are looking for a new general manager as well as a new head coach for the upcoming season. And questions about what they'll do with the quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., not having a first-round draft pick, right? It's going to be interesting in Atlanta. And while they're dealing with all that, we already got an identity offensively and defensively. We got our quarterback. We'll be building, and we'll continue to kick them down. So they might got a little cheap temporary victory, but in the end, we standing a lot taller than they are. The Giants fired their coach a long time ago, November the 10th, and they had Mike Kafka, a guy who interviewed with us running the team, but they'll be looking for a coach. Tennessee been fired their coach in October. Mike McCoy was running it. We were able to dispatch them. Y'all know about that win over Tennessee Titans. It was a good game with him and Cam. They got the future, but you need a quote. You're gonna for both the Titans and the Giants, even the Falcons to a degree. The Falcons have the defense. They have all the offensive pieces in place. You need to have somebody that has. I still wouldn't have a guy with a defensive mindset. And Arthur Smith was terrible. That's a terrible choice. The other guy, Raheem Morris, the defensive, it wasn't a good choice. You need more of an offensive-minded player or coach, rather, to kind of handle that. Similar to what the Giants got. You got Jackson Dart there. You're going to need to have somebody that kind of work with your young quarterback to build talent around them. They got talent there. You got to add to it. Tennessee is the same way. You need an offensive-minded guy there, somebody that can speak to Cam Ward and continue to build. Tony Pollard and Cam Ward are good players. They need more weapons. They need more drafts and more free agency. So these teams is not going to be easy. But in the end, this is some of the stuff that occurred on Black Monday. You don't see your Saints on there nowhere, do you? Because even though the Falcons won, they really lost today. And the Saints continue to climb. All right, anyway, man, let's stop messing with the Falcons. Let's hit you with some news, man. The Saints did do a few signings today. They signed the 8 players, and, of course, put the season over with. The Saints just traditionally sign the players on the practice squad to reserve future contracts for these upcoming season. And who are those guys? Dallas Beanham is signed to that deal, along as Benny Bishop Jr., Elijah Cooks, safety Elliot Davidson, defensive tackle Kozai Izzard, tackle Easton Kilty, cornerback Jaden Price, and tackle Barry Wesley. These are some of the guys that the Saints had on the practice squad that they kind of added to it. I was interested to see Elijah Cooks. They didn't activate him for the game. Big wide receiver, good catch radius. You seen L.A. Davidson. Remember him from playing in the preseason. The big defensive lineman, Keziah. Easton Kilty was another guy we had, remember, from Kansas State. He was a guy that didn't look good in preseason. So these are still guys here. And that's the vet, Barry Wesley, who came over from the Falcons. But it's a lot, man, here for the Saints as they signed most of the practice squad guys to future contracts. That's a customary thing that they do. All right, let's have a little money look here, shall we? Now, this is what we're dealing with for the upcoming season, man. 2026 offseason. The Saints right now are at $15.4 million in the red. Now, how about that? How about that, family? We're $15.4 million. Let me give a clap to that. Now, I don't give a clap. I don't usually give a clap to half-ass and bad book managing, but at the end of the day, based on what we were seeing over the last 3 to 4 years, when we had monies north of $100 million, y'all remember that? Put one in the chat if you remember that. Or 80 million, or 60 plus million. And then to see the Saints at 15.4 million in the red, man, I had to hit the clap button on that one, man, because that is phenomenal. 15.4 plus you have all of the talent that you have here that's in place. That'll be really awesome to see. So let's kind of look at this, man, as we kind of peer into 2026, baby. Active 4 total, according to, this is over the cap, giving you the game. You see Taysom's salary, his contract voids. Elvin's on the book for 11.5 mil. That'll be renegotiated. I promise you that. We got like maybe 7 or 8 double-digit contracts. You know, Chris Olave's deal is at 15.4. I think he's the most expensive of the current contracts. They're going to be a negotiation, or not a restructuring. Let's just put it to you like that. A restructuring of these monies. Elvin at 11.5. Cam, see him voided. We'll see that change. They'll rework a deal with Cam Jordan for an additional year. Now, he had multiple voided years on his deal. I'm pretty sure Mickey Loomis will do that for him and Demario Davis. You can see you can see right there the prorated signing bonus money that they still own, but we'll see the voided. They'll rework I want to say a more cap friendly, a cap compliant or free, like friendlier deal. Let's just say that, because when you got people like Cam and Demario that's motivated, they don't want to go anywhere. So the leverage to kind of bend and flex to say, okay, we're going to leave and go, you don't want to pay me this money, I'm going to the 49ers, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. They're not going to do that. They're going to be like, okay, we'll renegotiate. We don't have to make big time money. We've been here for years. Let's give you, they're going to give them a cap friendly deal. They'll get their money, don't get me wrong, but it'll be a friendly contract for the Saints monetary situation, so they can continue to flex forward and get and pay for the younger players that's pushing like a Chris Olave. Even though we got 15.4, that number would drop once they renegotiate his contract, right? Once they renegotiate, because they do have that on him, being he's a first rounder. They have that extra year to pay him the 15.4, so he's still there. Now, in terms of, you got Eric McCoy at 10 million flat, that's going to be a renegotiation. Chase Young at 14.8, that's going to be a renegotiation. Carl Granderson at 10.7, also. Cesar Ruiz is 9.5. You can see him making that, or Jawan Johnson. So you can see him working these deals. Even Justin Reed at 9.2 mil. Restructuring's happening. And they can roughly get, once that happens, family, the Saints can go as much as $20+ million, between $20 to $25 million in the black once the restructurings go. Because Mickey's going to do that. But if you look at everything, like I said, this is an extremely agreeable situation. They're not going to not, stop restructuring. Now that the balance of what has happened has flipped to the point where they feel like, Mickey Loomis feel like, hey man, hold on, we're justified. Oh, I told you guys, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be a bad accountant. We're gonna do it. The hell with you guys. I'm the mighty Mickey Loomis. Oh, man. And you can see bad management. He's gonna continue to do it. Because what ends up happening is it'll kick the Saints. They'll have more than enough money to be able to then bend into free agency market and be able to sign whoever they want to sign. But the big question is how active. Jerry says, "Shut up, Mickey." How active? Let me ask y'all guys that. Tell me in the chat, man. Answer me this, fam. Y'all hit the like button and then kind of walk me through this. Help me understand this. How active do you think the Saints will be in free agency? How active do you think the New Orleans Saints will be in free agency? Do you think they'll be major league active in free agency? Even though we've understood the Saints they have a philosophy where they want to build through the draft, how active do you think the Saints will be in free agency? To sign guys, like I ain't talking about lower tier guys like on the back realms of the free agency market. You pick up a veteran, a old defensive lineman or old offensive lineman on a vet minimum, and I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about some of being active in maybe the top 20 or 25 free agents that come out. Say for instance, there's a Tyler Algieri out there. Will the Saints go after him? Y'all let me know. Not just for that player, but period, in terms of the top 25 or 30 free agents that'll be available in this cycle. Do you think the Saints will be active in acquiring or getting one or two or three of those guys? Or do you really think that it'll be mostly about the draft? Y'all let me know. Put it in the chat. I'll spotlight you. But this is some of the stuff we talking about. So 15.4, getting y'all offensive and your defensive identity out of a 6-11 year coming out of it hugely with the dead. And I'm going to go all the way down here to the dead money, because this is where it is. The Saints, look at that dead money, 65.7 million plus in dead money. The Derek Carr fiasco was huge in Major League, and we avoided a real bullet in that. But you still have dead money. You got 36.6 plus million in dead money from just him alone. He represents over half of the dead money on Carr's contract. You take him off of that, that number is like 30 something million. It's less than 30 million. He by himself is half this list. Ryan Ramczyk was a player who couldn't play because you know why. He couldn't. If he was healthy, he would be playing. Tyron just says, I've had enough. 7.2. Colin Saunders, we traded him on up out of here. Same thing, we released Cooks because he couldn't be used. JT Gray, we decided to go another way and get Stallbird. Isaiah Foskey, you already know that. Cedric Wilson, y'all already know. Rashid Shaheed, they wasn't going to pay him. And Jake Haener is just Jake Haener. So you can justify all these other players, but that Derek Carr thing stinks. But it's 30.6 on that, on the 65.7 million in dead money. So like I said, the read not so difficult this year in terms of the cap being just 15.4 in the red. Several restructures we get you in the black, relatively fast. But then also there are the contracts like, the renegotiating of the contract of one like Chris Olave, him getting the bread that he wants. And of course, once you renegotiate Chris Olave's contract, that I don't think it's not going to be a double digit number. It'll probably fall anywhere between $4 to $8 million on that first year before it goes up to whatever double digits on the second year or whatever it is. Usually a creeping schedule signing, when he sign these deals, it's a step thing. It's a back end step, like you'll get 8 point, whatever it is. And then the next year it'll be 12, then 15 and 20 and whatever it is. And then Mickey will just keep renegotiating back and kick the money into the future like he's been doing for the last 1,000 years. But yeah, this is the big thing about his free agency. And what is his evaluation is, they say they got it, is his valuation at $20.1 million. That's the estimated cost that they're talking about that he's looking at for this upcoming season. And they got receivers that's making 19, 20 plus. Is Chris Olave one of those? And I guarantee you that that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that amount of money. Is Mickey Loomis going to pay that for Chris Olave? Time will tell. It's taking a long time too. Because like I've said earlier, we haven't heard anything on that. I really haven't. All right, so outside of that, man, like I said, Alontae Taylor's a guy that's unrestricted, man. And I'm going to tell you guys, we might not get both of them back. I mean, maybe Chris Olave, because they admitted to the negotiation, but Alontae Taylor is there as well. It might, we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. All right, man. Anyway, let me hit y'all up and let y'all know on the same time, man, as we continue to move forward, because a lot of great things popping in the city of New Orleans and the region because of what's happening with the New Orleans Saints. And this is kind of a brief thing that we're talking about here for the Saints. It's finished 6-11. You can see there. They're saying estimated cap is $26.5 million. Over the cap has a different number. I think it's more closer to what the over the cap is 15.4. They're saying that. So we'll see when it's official. But what's the top priority here, fam? What is the top offseason priority? Make decisions about veterans. Linebacker Demario Davis will be 37 in January. Defensive end Cam Jordan will turn 37 next summer. Both have voiding contracts, but they have continued to play at high levels despite their age. Saints will need to decide whether to bring them back as well as 35-year-old Taysom. If not, they could get younger at those positions. The bottom line is just my opinion. Y'all give me yours. I think Double D and Cam Jordan come back on team-friendly deals. I don't know if it'll be the vet minimum. I don't think it'll be the vet minimum. It'll be higher to me than the vet minimum, but I think it'll still be an agreeable deals for both people because they don't have much leverage because they don't want to go anywhere else. They want to stay. So I think it'll be team-friendly deals that will keep both Double D and Cam Jordan for an additional year. Taysom Hill, I think more than likely is out of here. I think Foster Monroe is done. I think those guys are out of here, you know, and that's what it is. So Cam and Double D, yes. Taysom, more than likely, no. What is one secondary priority to watch? What's the secondary priority? Surround rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck with a better offense. Very simple, right? He was playing with a cast of backups by the end of the season due to injuries, but every healthy Saint offense needs a refresh. The Saints need to get Shuck some pass catchers and build around him in free agency or the draft. Shout out to Kat Terrell. That's her analysis. And that's true. You found your quarterback. Fam, that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is that you found your quarterback, right? How many teams can say that? Half the NFL can't say that. The Indianapolis Colts can't say that. I ain't gonna go down all the teams, man. Go down all the teams. But it's a lot. Y'all know who they are. It's a lot of teams out there. The Jets, you know, all these other. It's a bunch of teams out there that have not found their quarterback. You and we, me, everybody. We had the Who Dat, the mighty Who Dat Nation, to found their quarterback. We found Shuck. Now we have to continue to build around him. Now, granted, and I'm gonna bring up the unofficial depth chart momentarily so we can kind of take a look at it. Where is it at? Let me see. Hold on. Hey, hold on. I found it. But what we're saying is, fam, you know, the toughest part of the game is finding the quarterback that you believe in. We found that guy. We got Tyler Shuck here. So we got to build an offensive line. That's number one to me, is the one thing that I'm looking at here is building an offensive line around him. Now, we do have the bookends. The bookends are fine. Kelvin Banks Jr., Tali Fuaga will be totally healthy. So with Kelvin. Kelvin was dealing with an ankle. He kind of limped off the field, but these guys will be good to go when games matter. So we have the bookends, right? Here it is here. Let me share this with y'all. It's a good visual, right? Right now, this is what we're dealing with. So as you can see, you got Tyler Shuck here and Kelvin Banks and Tali Fuaga inside Fortner, which I said Fortner should be re-signed. I think he did enough to obviously be re-signed. I think he's a good veteran to have for the likes of Eric McCoy, because like I've been saying so before, Eric McCoy, got love for Eric McCoy, but for over the last 4 years, McCoy's missed 20 plus games over just the last 4 year span, which is letting you know that it's tough in the NFL and people bodies start breaking down. So you have to kind of hedge your bets. So the Saints did a good job in getting Luke Fortner in a trade for Bink Saunders. We won the hell out that trade because the Jaguars later on cut Bink Saunders. He ended up with the Jets. So he didn't look too good in that game when we was playing him. So he went all the way from the Saints to the Jets. That's not popping. But the bottom line is we won that trade. And I don't think it'll be expensive to bring Luke Fortner back. I would sign Luke Fortner. He looked really, as the year went on, Luke Fortner looked really solid as a backup. So having him there, and he's already familiar with what you're doing offensively, after having all the reps because McCoy was hurt, is a major plus. So you would want to sign him as a backup for the likes of Eric McCoy. Dylan Reduntz, in my opinion, is I would not resign Dylan Reduntz. It was a 1 year deal. I will look elsewhere. I think Dylan Reduntz is thank you for your service, and we're going to have to find somebody else that's better than that. Ultimately, I think it should be, whether it's fixed in free agency, that probably could be a position where the Saints spend money on in free agency to get a quality veteran there, or simply decide to address it in the draft. Because they got several key players in the draft at the guard position that can help. You know, one early on, maybe in the second round too, but there are a couple of guys in the draft that can help you in the second and third rounds if you're looking for that. But they'll have options there. So, you know, Dylan Reduntz, no sir. Luke Fortner, yes. Cesar Ruiz, the Saints came close to rumors about trading Cesar Ruiz. He's been up and down and all around. His technique is not all that. So, yeah, I don't know if Kellen Moore pulls the trigger on getting rid of Cesar Ruiz. I would, but I don't know if they do. I don't know. I don't know if they can continue to hide him. I don't know. I would. I don't think they would. But nevertheless, like I said, we need better resources there. Definitely a hole at the left guard position that needs to be fixed. Just talking about protecting the quarterback and backups, like we mentioned before. Luke Fortner is a good center. Will Sherman did all right. Asim Richards we traded for, he did all right as well. So, continue to address the backup offensive line. We had all these injuries happening. We were able to cycle guys in and out. So just continuing that trend of keeping and getting quality backups either through drafting or free agency. Keeping that going, man, because injuries hit our offensive line all the time. We have to be prepared for that. And, of course, also we talk about the skill positions, like the running back position. We'll start that with Alvin Kamara getting up in age. He'll be healthy, ready to go. We'll get Kendre Miller back in his final year of his rookie deal. There'll be Devin Neal, who was doing really good before he got hurt. That's another guy that we'll have to look at. So it's a couple of players from the running back position that we have to look at, but they do have some good runners in the draft. Hell, they might have one from Notre Dame that might be ready at 8. Do you take them there? So when the Saints build that big board of 30 to 50 players that, and then rank them according to their scouts and then say, okay, if this guy is available, do we take him? Could be a possibility you might have to replace an Alontae Taylor. Could be a possibility that a guy like the running back from Notre Dame falls to you at 8, and that guy is a beast. So do the Saints do that? Do they give Tyler Shuck a top-notch running back there? Do they go with the wide receiver from Ohio State there? Or the guy from Arizona State? I like the Ohio State better than the guy from Arizona State. But, but the reality is there are options that we'll look at that you want to use. But Alvin Kamara, you can't deny that. Just to find like Audric Estime would definitely be a guy I bring back, but he's a reserve back. But Devin Neal was still unproven, even though he did what he did. He still is unproven young running back. Kendre Miller can't stay healthy, so we know we can't count on him. And Elvin's getting old, so at some point to keep your offense upbeat and moving in the right direction, you might have to consider if you build a board and that running back is there. Depending on what you're looking like, right? And of course, we talk about the wide receiver position. And like we just mentioned, there's several wide receivers. And of course, you don't have to draft there. You can also kind of add talent through free agency. There'll be a lot of talented wide receivers and running backs in there. It just depends on what the Saints are willing to do. Are they willing to spend a lot of money on a veteran wide receiver in the draft, or just pay for Chris Olave? And then remember, they still have other talent as well. The Saints still have the likes of, even though they're not showing them here because these guys are hurt, but they still have Devon Valley. Remember, we looking at picking up talent in the draft, but remember who you have. The Saints kind of traded picks early on. That's how they end up with Asim Richards. Getting Asim Richards from the Texans, the Dallas Cowboys, getting him there, claiming Xavier Truss, off the waiver wire, adding him to the backup offensive lineman. Then the Saints went about the business of trading picks to get Devon Valley. They gave up 2 picks, late picks, to get Devon Valley here. And you seen what he did in the limited time that he was here. He'll be healthy and back in the lineup, so you'll have hopefully Chris Olave, Chris Olave, Devon Valley. You'll have also Jalen Polk. Remember, the Saints gave up a 6th-round pick, I think it was, for a wide receiver who was drafted in the 2nd round, and he was hurt. So that was a move like, why are we doing that? You'll see why. You'll see why when he's healthy. But you have those guys available as well. So at some point, Saints will have options in which direction they want to go in the draft. So it's definitely key to me. Like, you got a hole at the left guard position. You still need help at the backup guard position. You get that in free agency. The tight end position, even though Juwan Johnson is the top guy, Matavo show you enough to say, hey, man, we need to develop this kid? I would say during the 3 or 4 games that Matavo played, Matavo was he lined up as a fullback. He lined up as a tight end. His blocking was decent. He was catching the ball with his hands and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just really intrigued by the fact we got a tall quarterback in Tyler Shuck, who's 6'5", and Matavo, who's 6'8". Could you imagine the chemistry that a Matavo, who was very productive at UCLA as a big tight end, in the red zone, what kind of chemistry and synergy they can have, and how Kellen Moore can ultimately down the line be able to use a 6'8" tight end in the red zone? Could you imagine that for a second? It's phenomenal. So that's a part of it. And like I said, there are other additives to kind of draw about that thing. But yeah, wide receiver is definitely a position you want to do. But Kevin Austin Jr. could be a guy that could really be around there. And there's other wide receivers like Mason Tipton who could fill in the slot. But like I said, the Saints gave up picks for 2 guys. Chris Olabi's there. Devine Bailey is who they acquired from Denver for multiple picks, and from the Patriots, Jalen Polk. So those guys are in the mix as well. Who would ever you get in the draft, if you choose to draft in the draft, I don't know if you get one high. Depends on what you're looking at, right? We'll see. And of course, we pivot to the defensive side of things, right? Brian Bresee should be healthy for the upcoming season. We know, I think Jonathan Bullard, I think he had a 1-year deal. So did Jonah Williams. I think he had a 1-year deal too. And I think John Ridgeway might be up. But Jonathan Bullard and Jonah Williams, those guys will be cheap signings. I think you definitely re-sign those men. No doubt about it. I think Bullard was phenomenal as a reserve defensive lineman. Jonah Williams got 3 sacks, and he was at edge, and they kicked him inside. Those guys work really well in Coach Staley's defense. They allowed players to be fresh in the game. Like you see how guys were firing off because Coach Staley's lineups were really good, to the point where they had a lot of those guys were refreshed and going in there and making an impact. So I think Jonah Williams and Jonathan Bullard are 2 guys that we should definitely consider signing back, right? The kind of pair. And of course, with Demario Davis coming back and Cam Jordan coming back for another year, you still have Pete Werner there. And then Danny Stutzman, kind of a co-starter with Pete Werner, was positive. Stutzman had over 50 tackles. I know Werner had 70-plus tackles, but Stutzman had over 50 tackles in his rookie campaign. He was in there laying the wood. He was doing some positive stuff. Really happy about that. Stallbird is a special teams ace. Jalen Ford was doing some positive stuff before he got hurt. But it's interesting to see what happened. Chris Rumph II is another interesting player for him. I think he's on a 1-year deal, to see if he comes back. We'll see. But then when you hit the secondary up, Alontae Taylor's a big question mark. I think he could be priced out of the Saints' reach. He possibly could, if we focus on Chris Olave, do the Saints then turn and pay Alontae Taylor? He ain't going to be looking for nothing cheap. He says his first time in free agency, and they usually look to get paid. So we'll see. But Quincy Riley, Jonas Sanker, Kool-Aid McKinstry all showed positive signs. Jordan Howden, even when he got in there, did some positive stuff. And the Saints always seem to find some undrafted defensive backs that always seem to kind of move up and help and look good. So that's also a thing. So that's some of the stuff you're kind of looking at when you look at it. And then, of course, you go on to the special teams. Charlie Smith is here. So is Zach Wood. But Kai Kroger, probably one of the guys that we're going to have to look at and consider having or sending some talent to compete with him at that level. He didn't really kick as well as we want. And we need to see much better improvement from our special teams. And I think that's Galliano. If any one of the coaches were on the hot seat, and I'm not saying that they are, the positional coaches, the special teams coach got to do better. No doubt about it, right? All right, anyway, man, let's keep this thing moving. Remember, y'all, this show is brought to you by FanDuel. Y'all can feel free to check out the wild card odds and predictions, the money line here, man. There's a lot of stuff going on with these matchups. You can see right here, Rams and Panthers matchup here. So it's a lot of stuff going on. Y'all can check out the odds at FanDuel, just to let y'all know. All right, bouncing back to the Tankathon. This is from the Tankathon. This is some of the top prospects currently available or thought to be available for the upcoming NFL Draft 2026. We'll know. These are some of the top talent. Arvell Reese from Ohio State is seen as one of the top targets. This is a linebacker with 6.5 sacks for, once again, Ohio State. Ruben Bain is a really excellent. He's considered the best edge rusher in this draft. 6'3", 280, 8.5 sacks. These men, I think, will be gone before the Saints get them. Caleb Downs, the fantastic safety for the Ohio State, has a lot of range, really smart player, just a ball hawk, really smart player. Fernando Mendoza, who is currently leading Indiana, man, in the hunt to win a college championship. I mean, they're just doing phenomenal things, man. Just to be honest, they just wiped the floor with Alabama the past weekend. And Mendoza is just balling. 6'5", 225, over 3,000 yards, 36 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. A rating of 184.7. If Mendoza come out, he's headed toward the Raiders. I guarantee you that. He's seen as probably, they're saying he's the true only number 1 quarterback in the draft, like a number 1 first-round pick quarterback, should I say. They consider him, even though Dante Moore had a lot of positive things going on at Oregon. He could benefit. There's some people saying he was thinking about staying at Oregon. But if Mendoza goes, they're going to be looking to reach at quarterback. They do it every year. And Moore should stay where he is. If he's going into the draft, he more than likely will probably end up with the Jets. So that's going to be interesting. All right, anyway, Cornell Tate is the best wide receiver, 6'3", 190 plus, 51 catches, 9 touchdowns, averages 17 yards per catch. Imagine having that type of production in the Who Dat Nation. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State, 6'2", 200 pounds, 61 catches, 8 touchdowns, almost 12 yards per catch. Another big name receiver. Like I said, Jordan's good. I like Cornell Tate a little bit better, I think, but Tyson's a little faster than Cornell, but Cornell has good route running, sure-handed, really intelligent wide receiver. You know we like them Ohio State wide receivers. Spencer Fano is one of the top tackles in the draft. You can see more. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. This is the best running back in this draft, over 1,300 yards, 6 feet, 220 pounds, 18 rushing touchdowns, average 7 yards a rush. Has 280 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns catching the ball. So you can see Jeremiah Love is seen as the best back in the draft. And, man, I've seen the kid play. The man has an NFL build. He can do a lot of positive stuff for your offense. And listen, man, if the Saints get an offensive line and they put Jeremiah Love back there, Chris Olave and all the weapons we got, it's building something special. This draft here could be really be added to the 25 draft, because the 25 draft was a solid draft for us, right? We got a lot of starters out of this draft. You know, you talk about Kelvin Banks Jr., you talk about Jonas Sanker, you talk about even co-starters like Danny Stutzman, even developmental tight end like Matavo, Fadil Diggs, even though he didn't play a lot. He can be a factor. You still got Vernon Brockton, the 3rd-round draft pick, who they see as a solid potential interior defensive lineman. They can move around. So you got players, Quincy Riley, who's your starting nickel back. So the Saints got some really impressive players, a lot of really good players out of 25 class. I'm going to keep it all the way funky with you. If they can replicate the success they did in 2025 and have another solid draft to add to the 25 draft, the Saints will be exponentially further along than most of these other people that have 1 or 2 good picks and then they blow out or bomb out on the draft, right? We can move this thing forward really quick. All right, other people to talk about. David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas. He got 14.5 sacks. Clemson's defensive interior lineman, Peter Woods, another big one, 6'3", 300 plus. Keldrick Falk from Auburn's another solid edge rusher. Francis Magoa, who is an offensive tackle. Some say you can kick him at guard for the Miami team, who's still playing for the national championship. Shout out to my Tigers. Mansour Delaney, who's looked at as the best cornerback in this draft. Could this be a guy that the Saints pick up because they can't get Alontae Taylor back? Could we pivot to Mansour Delaney, 45 tackles, 2 picks for the Tigers? Cornerback Jeremiah McCoy, 6 feet, 200-pound physical cornerback from Tennessee. He has 4 interceptions and 44 tackles. He'll come up and knock you down. Sonny Styles, the linebacker, 6'4", 240 plus pounds from Ohio State, 82 tackles, 3 pass defense. The guy is very athletic. Makai Lemon from USC is another one. And of course, you can look at the rest of these guys and see for yourself that there are a lot of talent in this draft that the Saints could use. Ty Simpson's another interesting quarterback. He had an injury, a back injury. I don't know how that's going to impact him in the draft. And that loss. Cassius Howell from Texas A&M. This guy's ranked 26. He should be a little higher. This dude, even though he's kind of seen as an edge guy, 6'2", 250, more of a linebacker build type. But a lot of comparisons. I almost say to Von Miller. There's since because they went to the second, but with Vine with the Texas, was it Texas or Texas A&M? I think Vine was at Texas. Y'all remind me, but anyway, it's a lot of comparisons they were putting Cassius Howell to Von Miller. But anyway, the guy 11.5 sacks. He is a complete beast. In terms of getting pressure, he's athletic. This guy could possibly go a little higher than that. And, of course, other people. You talk about Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M with 61 catches, 9 touchdowns, averaging 51 yards a catch. So take your pick. It's a lot of talent in this draft. How about Chris Bell, the former wide receiver, a Louisville wide receiver, who is familiar with him? I don't think we get Bell. We'll see. Emmanuel Pregnon is another dude that I like, an interior offensive lineman graded as one of the tops in this class. So it's a lot of different people. We'll go into more of this draft stuff because we got all the time in the world now to mock draft and do all this other kind of stuff. We'll break down all these players on Jadarian Price, the other Notre Dame running back, is also a really good back. But he's, you kind of understand the other dynamic that you had a starter ahead of you that was getting a lot of major minutes, but both those running backs are going to go in the first and the other one probably in the second round. When you got a guy like Love ahead of you, ain't nothing you can do about that. But Jadarian Price is another solid running back as well. So like I said, a lot of talent in the draft, a lot of places the Saints can go. But the bottom line is we got to build a team through the draft in the 2025 class that will benefit us and build around our young quarterback. Here's one of the mock drafts from the Tankathon currently. They talk about as the draft's laying out, you can see Fernando Mendoza is the top quarterback. They're giving him to the Raiders, and that's going to be interesting. They got to build. They do have a fantastic young running back there, excellent tight end there, so they have the pieces. They still got to build up an offensive line, and they need weapons. So Fernando Mendoza, love his guy temperament, love his positivity. He's going to need all that if the Raiders take him. And then, of course, you see the Jets, Dante Moore, going there that's a tough place for a rookie quarterback to play. Yeah, it's going to be tough there. And they traded a lot of assets away. I don't see the Jets winning right away. We'll see how they handle that. That's on Glenn. That's where he decided to go. Orville Reese, they got him going to the Cardinals at the linebacker, helping improve that defense. Reuben Bain headed to the Titans. In this mock draft, Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, going to the Giants to help out Jackson Dart. You got Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, going to Cleveland for Shador or Dylan Gabriel, whoever is going to be their quarterback, whoever going to be their coach. The Washington Whataburgers, they pick up Caleb Downs in the top-notch safety from Ohio State to help that defense out. And look at the Saints. They got Saints lined up with Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. Now, this is interesting because a lot of people don't perceive the Saints taking a running back with the first-round draft, but let me tell you something. This kid's high on people's boards. Number one running back, the Saints are high enough to get an impact player. So one of these guys is going to fall to him, whether it's a top-notch wide receiver, a top 10 wide receiver, or the best running back in the draft. And he's seen as a guy that more than likely is going to be there. So outside of that, if you're the New Orleans Saints, you got an 8th pick in the draft, and if you're going to stand there and keep that pick, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to trade the pick to acquire more draft picks and move back a little further, or are you going to land an impact player to help out your franchise quarterback? Or you see what I'm saying? What do you do with that pick? That's the question. That'll be inside. But getting Jeremiah Love, the top running back in this draft class with the pick, if you stay there, would definitely impact the running back room because Elvin Kamara is not what he used to be. Got a lot of injuries mounting up on him. He could still be a compliment for this guy. And I think he got this year and next year left remaining on this deal. I want to say for AK-41 before his contract is expired. You owe him 11.5 this year. No, actually, this is Alvin Kamara's last year. Alvin Kamara's last year is this year. So if you pick up Jeremiah Love, you're justified, to be honest with you. Look at the contract. AK-41 right here, 2026, 31 years of age, 11.5. You got voided years for the rest of the way. So this is actually his last year on this deal. So the Jeremiah Love pick would be justified if you went running back here. But it just depends on where your board stands. A lot of people say wide receiver. Me personally, I like to go offensive line, but taking one of those, there's not a guard that's ranked that high. Some of the guards, the interior guards, are ranked toward the middle of the draft or outside of the top 10, right? Now, this could change as the scouting combine happened. Was, this is some fluctuation that could happen here, because there's talk about Francis McGoy that he can also kick inside the guard and all this kind of stuff. You start seeing these guys that play mostly tackle in college start pivoting and say, hey, man, listen, I'll do what you want me to do, like what Will Campbell did when they talked about kicking him inside. He was a blindside tackle for most of his career in college, and then all of a sudden, when they got to the draft, they was asking him, would you kick inside? And he was saying, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So, that kind of thing happens as well. So like I said, we still a ways away from this happening. We'll see once, when the names become finalized, when guys come out, and then we'll see how the board will kind of fluctuate once when they hit Indianapolis and start doing the combine and all this kind of stuff. It always seems to fluctuate, but it's a lot of direction, family, that we can go in, right? It's a lot of direction. So anyway, let me hit the chat with some of you guys here and see what y'all thoughts is on what we just covered on the stream. You got any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll answer it, because we was talking about that, and I'll say, fam, what would y'all do? Would y'all go to St. John? Shout out to St. John, says Cam and Double D should come back one more year, about $7 million each. Okay, thank you. That Jared says Foster is, yes, he is, Cheeks. Yeah, he is definitely that, bro. No doubt about that. No disrespect to Foster. He was dealing with the cancer stuff. He broke that. We just exclusively talking about your play. He has some good catches here or there. Missed a lot of blocks that I thought he was better at blocking, because he had a reputation of being a blocking guy, a balanced tight end, and he was just like a guy that was just like missing too many blocks for me, and he was just kind of shaky in his tenure here. He was dealing with a lot of injuries as well. But yeah, Foster is, I think we can do better younger with the position. Dr. Gregory said bring both of them back, meaning Double D and Cam. All right, Ocharimo says Taysom's going with Sean Payton in Denver. I think you're right on that, man. I think you're right. I think that's exactly where he's heading. Abraham says, why put somebody in the playoffs that don't like us? What do you mean, brother? All right, King Chosen One says weapons of mass destruction of dogs. Yeah, he says we also need solid backup at QB. Also, Spencer Rattler should still be around. I seen some article where somebody was saying that they wanted him to Spencer Rattler to be traded somewhere for an opportunity. One of the players was saying that. I forgot which one. Y'all remind me. But that's not going to happen. They're not going to give up Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is a good young quarterback. He's a good backup. He just got beat out by a better guy. And it's just what it is. He had his opportunity, and the other guy just outplayed him. Ain't no shame in that. You still got a job. You still got a check. You're still in the league, right? So he just has to get ready if something, God forbid, would happen, and we move on that. Brother DeWright, shout out to DeWright, saying finding a QB is like finding lightning in a bottle. Could you imagine Atlanta new coaches have to deal with a QB? Yes, indeed. That's what I was saying. The coming out of it, like I was saying, I wasn't as disgusted as I was, because by all means, the Falcons did sweep the Saints this year, but a lot of the people, including myself, who would really usually don't like that, wasn't upset by that. And the reason why, it was like, okay, we had a 6-11 year, but toward the back end of the season, you've seen them discover themselves. And if all we can get is to solve the identity crisis that the offense was under, now don't get me wrong, we still struggle to score touchdowns and all this kind of stuff, regardless of whether we didn't have the proper personnel, meaning our top guys were missing, holes on the offensive line, injuries on the offensive line, injuries to the wide receiver position, injuries to the tight end position, whatever the injuries were, you still be tasked with winning. The Saints went and gave them all they could have. We missed the field goal that could have won the game, by the way. So there were opportunities. And a lot of times Atlanta didn't really take the game away. The Saints gave that game away to them. Like, we had times where we was doing stupid stuff in there. And like I said, man, at the end of the day, it was more encouraging than anything else because we solved the identity crisis on offense. We solved the issues with the defense that we were having. We got a quarterback of the future, a kicker of the future. We got some of our veterans who really balled out coming back for an extra year because they know this upcoming year could be special. And Tyler Shuck talked about getting to the playoffs in the post-game presser. Talked about getting to the playoffs in the second year. Understanding you get Chris Olave back, you get Devon Valley, you get Jalen Polk, you add some help from free agency and to strengthen your offensive line. Whether you get a veteran running back like a Tyler Algieri in the draft, or in the free agency, or you get him in the draft, the Saints are going to do one or other. They're going to kind of build around him. That's the whole point. Now that Kellen Moore knows what he's working with, we can then build around the quarterback. We found the quarterback. That's the biggest thing. We got our guy. That's another thing. So we got our guy. We got our offensive identity. We got our defensive identity. We've solved a lot of stuff this year. Now we just fortified it and go back into it in 2026 and start handling business. Bottom line. Now with Shuck in there, he pinpoint and telling people we need to do what we know, all this kind of stuff. And we just need to watch out for him. He needs to speed his progression up, get rid of the ball. And he said that in the post-game press conference yesterday. He talked about, I got to get rid of the ball, man. I'm holding the ball too much. He knew about all the stuff that he was doing wrong. He did not pull a Derek Carr and say, and just say things like, and keep doing the same dumb stuff over again and making excuses for. He didn't do all of that. He literally said what he needed to do. That's accountability. So yes, indeed, it is very rare. Thank you, DeWright, for that. Appreciate you. Rashun says, we need a vet to complement the QB room as soon as possible. A vet. Okay. Thank you, brother. Who you got in mind? Put it in the chat. All right. Quality offensive lineman. Dr. Gregory said quality offensive backups. Indeed. All right. And Rashun says we have to beef up the defense to continue the momentum against the black and blue schedule next season. We got a tough schedule coming up. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Dr. Gregory believes that we should sign Fortner 3 years, $12 million, and good price for him, or 2 years for $7.5 million. Yeah, I'm for bringing Fortner back. There are several veterans that are not high end guys, right? Like Alante and Chris Olave. They're quality role guys like Audric Estime, Luke Fortner, Jonah Williams, Jonathan Bullard, Chris Rump II, men like that. You'd be like, yeah, man, bring that guy back. Bring him back. They played their way to get another opportunity to be back on a team. They fit well with what we got going on, and they were producers. And those type of men, they don't usually cost you a lot of money to bring guys like that back, right? All right. DeWright says, I'm done with Mill. Okay. All right. I got you. All right. Bird Talks. What's up, bro? Says New England wide receiver 2 key. Oh, yeah. Jalen Polk. Yeah. Jeffries, Maxwell says, we're going to party with the Lombardi in 2030. It's coming, bro. It's coming. You got to protect your quarterback. Yeah, we got to protect our quarterback. I think we're going to be all right. Yeah, I agree. Bring Bullard in him back. All right. Shout out to you, Dr. Gray. DeWright says, been some time since we've been sitting this. I know it has. But the crazy part about it is the fact that how fast the time frame sped up. How fast the time span, because the thing was, it was a tale of two halves of season, right? The first half, it was so ugly. It took them so long to figure out what to do. By the time they figured out how to play football, it was over with. Like, we was 1-9 in games. We switched quarterbacks. Finally, they brought the next quarterback in. and it still was struggling. Then you had injuries that you had to adjust to, but they just didn't learn. It didn't adjust fast enough, is what I'm saying, because whoever it's that's how the NFL is. Whoever adapts faster, that's usually the advantage that you have, is you could, with things changing, because that's life, everything changing. This change, this change, this guy gets hurt, this guy get hurt. You got to pivot and move guys in and out of the lineups, and you have to keep the winning going. By all means, you might win by field goals one game, you might blow a team out by 7 to 14 points another game. But regardless of how it goes, you have to be tasked with winning these games. You got to come up with strategies to win. That's the fascinating part about the game. We just were we was too slow on the draw with a lot of changes, but ultimately when they got it, they got it. Like Chris Olave stepped in there, he started catching everything. And remember, he was dropping touchdown passes and everything. That was right, man. Come on, bro. Juwan Johnson was dropping touchdown passes, third down balls. All that was happening early in the year. And Spencer Rattler was throwing it to him, and them guys wasn't catching like they were catching from Shuck late on in the year. It wasn't the same energy. If they were doing what they were supposed to do, the Saints would have won at least 2 more games, because those drop touchdowns hurt us in the long scheme of things. But as time mounted in the second half of the season, those guys went up to another level. Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, the backup offensive lineman, all these guys went up to another level, and then you started to see the success happen. It wasn't the same energy with the previous, man. Them guys were dropping passes and missing blocks, all kind of stuff. It was crazy. But they finally got it. So Linda says, anyone who ever said anything bad about Moore knows nothing about football. He made this terrible team better. Shuck is the emperor of empty yards. Draft Mendoza for QB. I don't think they're going to do that, Linda. Mendoza is not going to be a Saint quarterback. It's already pivoted to Kellen. I don't know if you say empty yards for Shuck. You think he's empty yards? I don't agree with that, sweetheart. I think Tyler Shuck is what he is. A big quarterback with a gun. He goes through his progressions. He's not perfect. He misses throw. When you look at the tape, we'll do the Patreon Saints Falcons Week 18 Patreon film work tomorrow. But the bottom line is he misses on there are throws out there where he's throwing to the intermediate area of the field, and they got guys running down the field one-on-one, sometimes wide open with their hand up. He don't see it all, right? He's still a rookie. But winning with what he has, like having an impact. Like there ain't never been no Saints quarterback that as a rookie done did what he doing. They had guys that walked in there and tried to operate the quarterback position. We seen Jake Hayner, we seen Spencer do it, and this guy come in there and then just command to put the room. He commands the huddle, stands tall in the pocket, deliver the ball. His timing is getting better every game. The game is slowing down for him. His comprehension. Remember, because he's 26 years old, so a lot of the things like a 21-year-old, he's a more mature, married and everything. So he's seeing the game a little different. An older veteran, been in college for 7 years. All that factors in. Got good coaching from Louisville, like Louis Riddick talked about the Brahms, man. The Brahms can't be underestimated in his developmental process as a quarterback. They do good work at Louisville. So he went through a quarterback school of sorts in college. 7 years doing something, then you cross over into the league. You sit for half the year. You sit for half the year holding the clipboard, basically working on your timing with the scout team. That's why him and Kevin Austin Jr. is so good. These backup wide receivers have chemistry because a few of those guys he was throwing to on the scout team. While a guy when Spencer was in there starting. So holding the clipboard, understanding, and not being the subject of having the and this is a main thing too, of not having the pressure of winning right away when you step in as a rookie quarterback. Because if he fails and bombs 5 games, 6 games, he goes 0 for 5, 0 for 6, or 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 in these games, people gonna be yelling to pull him on up out of there. So it was a decision. Kellen Moore did a good decision. What he did was he put the more veteran quarterback in there and kept him in there, see if he can win with him. And when he realized he couldn't, that's when he put him in there. But by the time that happened, the Saints weren't in no position to win a damn thing. So he didn't have to deal with the pressure of having contention on top of you. It's a whole nother level. So that kind of really saved him on some stuff. I'm gonna keep it real with you, because that's a different world when you tasked with winning. Like, you got to, okay, we in the playoff race, all this kind of stuff. You need to have, it's a different level of pressure altogether that you got to deal with. So I think Spencer Rattler handled that shit the right way, man. I'm gonna be honest with you on that. But bottom way, like I said, I think this guy is the truth. I think he's it's no debate in my mind no more about what it is. People saying is he this or that. No. The guy he is it. He's the franchise quarterback. And because of how he wins games, how he's athletic, know when to kick in his athleticism and run. Like I talked about Jelani Walker. He ran away from Walker, and Walker was one of the fastest athletes in that draft last year. And Walker was booking it, and he couldn't even catch him. He had to dive at his feet, and he jumped. The presence of mind to know to leap, because the guy's swiping at my feet, to take off, the throws, the weird, I ain't gonna say weird, but the sling motion throws across his body, like him not even needing to pivot his feet to plant and throw on certain throws. Like when he threw that pass to Jawan Johnson alone, Jawan standing there in a stationary position. This guy runs toward the left with defenders in his face, stops and almost like jumps midair, jumps back and slings the ball sidearm almost, and catches the man standing still, and he's moving. So, I mean, he does things like, damn, that's shit. That was pretty impressive. Just throwing, like my pops talked about, like the guy throwing frozen ropes out there. I mean, it's just a lot of positive. I haven't seen a rookie like that play for the Saints, galvanize them with a bunch of backups and they win. Nah, I gotta deny that. Hemisphere says, Q, if the Saints pick a running back that high, then would that mean someone else get cut? Miller or AK-41 might be on the chopping block. AK hasn't been healthy the last few years. Productive is gone. Yeah, indeed. Like I just showed you that Elvin Kamara's contract is done up after the 2026 season. So it would be a proper time if you was looking at a running back that high. Not saying that they taking Jeremiah Love. They got multiple mock drafts saying the Saints take a running back. It's just what they're saying. But yeah, I mean, if you guys shook and you have you sign Chris Olave back and you have Divine Belly, they're not going to just bury these guys. Like they gave up picks for him. Divine Belly is going to be a compliment to Chris Olave. He's going to play. He's going to start next year. So is Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk is going to be a guy that the Saints, they like those three guys. Those guys, Olave, Veli, and Polk. And then if you have Mason Tipton or Kevin Banks Jr., and whoever else they bring in, I mean, it's they like those guys. But yeah, AK-41's productivity went way down. He was hurt for a great deal of this year. Couldn't make it back. He tried. And he's getting old, and he on a 1-year deal. So yes, indeed, you got to eventually pivot and find somebody who's dynamic, and Jeremiah Love is phenomenal. So, but like I said, it depends on where you're at on the board, but you could be justified in picking him. You really could. Because Kendre Miller is not proven. Kendre on the final year of his rookie deal as well. Devin Neal is a fantastic young player, but he's not a franchise running back. There's still such a thing as a franchise running back. So Jeremiah Love would be that. He'd be a good compliment for Tyler Shuck to have. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He's dynamic, running inside and outside of the hole. He got power, plus he got some speed. He got a degree of speed to him. That's good. And he got really great vision, too. And a series of moves on running, jump cuts, stuff like that. The guy is a special running back. So, we'll see where they got him at on their board. That's where it all comes down to. L-Dub says someone from ESPN is trying to Buffalo's left guard David Edwards to the Saints free agency. He's projected to get $20 million a year. I don't see them giving an offensive lineman at the left guard position $20 million a year. I don't see that happening. You know, I know they want to be able to get good starting offensive linemen, but they can also, you know, draft the guy. If that's the case, find a guy and draft. I don't know if they're going to, I don't see them giving $20 million a year to a left guard. I don't see that. You know, we'll see what they do. I've seen something about that. I was like, man, people just be saying shit. I don't see that, but we'll see. All right, Jasper says the tight end position is reborn, great blocking tight end, brother. Yeah, Matavo is excellent, man. I seen him play. They had him line up as fullback. He was blocking. I'm like, damn, he got 6'8". He caught the ball a couple of times. And I was asking, man, where's Matavo at? That was a really solid pick, by the way, because even though you had Fadil Diggs and Matavo was 7-round picks, a lot of people thought those guys should have went higher than that. A lot of people thought their grade was, you know, in the 4th and 5th round, somewhere along in there. But the Saints got those two guys with the final two 7th round picks. And like I said, Fadil Diggs was cutting up in preseason. Y'all remember that he barely got edged out by, who was it? Chris Rumph II barely edged him out. It wasn't he didn't run away with it. It was Fadil Diggs barely got edged out by Chris Rumph. That's how he ended up on the practice. He barely beat him because Fadil Diggs was handling business. And then there was also Matavo. Matavo was just buried on the tight end depth chart. I mean, you had Jake Stahl, you had Foster Monroe, you had Taysom Hill, you had all these other guys in there ahead of him, and he was a rookie. But over time in the scouting team, eventually with injuries, you started to see that the kid could play. You know, that's a benefit to them for this entire season. You didn't see him until like 2 or 3 games before the year ended, and that's a culmination of all the practices and all the stuff that these guys were going through for the summation of the year, that he finally got an opportunity to play in the game. So this is the most refined that we've seen him right now. So we'll see. Greg says, and we can get lucky and get a wide receiver undrafted. Come on. Indeed, we do get those guys. We do. He says, all right, Big Low says, don't mess. No, Malo in the building. Shout out to Low. But the thing is, man, yeah, Low was happy as hell, man, when he found out that they fired Raheem Morris. And I understand, I get it, man. But I'm telling you, man, it's going to be, you know, is Penix the guy? I mean, you got to find somebody that can work with him. What if the quarterback wants somebody else? I mean, they got some stuff that they got to solve, man. But they do have a lot of talent. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Pitts. You know, Tyler Algieri's up for free agency. So, I mean, they got some players that ultimately going to end up ended up somewhere else. That's just the level of what we do in the NFL. It's just how it goes. All right. Yeah, shout out to Lou, man. He said, ain't saying I need all y'all to turn your sofas off. It's all good, Lou. You can bring the sweep and the broom. It's all good, brother. Y'all won, man. We not mad, bro. Congratulations to you, bro. But you can't really come for us here and brag too much. You got work to do, Lo. You can't celebrate sweeping the Saints because let me tell you something. They stole your thunder. They didn't even wait till Monday. They didn't wait till Monday. See, they didn't even allow. See, this is how things work for the mighty Who Dat Nation. Y'all follow me on this one. Y'all follow me on this one. The Falcons' illustrious vampire leader, Count Blankula, just got tired of the blood of the head coach, Raheem Morris, and decided to get rid of him. The crazy part about it is the Falcons swept the Saints for the first time in a long time. A long time. But they couldn't even allow them to celebrate the sweeping until Monday. They announced they fired the man. He won 4 games straight. They fired him and his general manager on the day that they won against the Saints. So what it did was it stole all of the luster of sweeping the Saints. And the bigger story was the fact that they're now coachless. So it's y'all won, but y'all didn't win because now you got to find you a head coach. You got to find the right head coach for you. And I don't know if you know, but this starts all over again. So whatever continuity you thought you was building, it all goes back to zero. Now you got a bunch of players that you got to find a coach to be able to galvanize with them, and you know that's not easy. So it almost resets the Falcons back to zero. It's basically what it does. So, yeah. So it all works for the mighty Who Dat Nation, doesn't it, fam? They couldn't even celebrate the sweeping because the same time they came away from there, you find out their coach got fired. And you should have seen him at the press conference at the end of the press. We won this game. We did this. I want to know, boy, he walked out of there and said, hey, man, you fired. Because he was giving game balls and everything. Did y'all see it? The man was giving out game balls and every damn thing to his people. Yeah, man, we did this at the interview. Yeah, we won 4 games straight. Hey, man, listen, man, I'm telling you, the future looking bright. Not for you, not in Atlanta, because I'm pretty sure as soon as he walked right on out of that room where he was throwing out game balls. Hey, we swept the Saints. Hey, here you go your pink slip. Yeah, right. Well, what's this? You fired. Oh, what you mean I'm fired? We won 4 games straight. No, it's not enough. You got to go. Don't worry. Here, take this extra pink slip over there to Fontenot. Tell him he fired too. So they can even have the opportunity to celebrate nothing. You got to pay. You can't focus on us and finding the coach at the same time, Lo. That's all I'm saying. Jazz says, question Q, did you see the crazy angle throws from? Yeah, I know in Atlanta. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. When I was calling the game, I was saying it. The throw that really I liked was the one he threw it to Jawan Johnson. He was standing along the left sideline. He found Jawan Johnson because he was running, and the Atlanta defenders followed him over there, and he almost like he was going to run and throw forward, but they kind of cut him off, so he had to stop and kind of leap a little bit, and it was all arm action. That's what I was saying. It was like usually, a strong quarterback is going to plant and drive the ball. There was no, he stopped, actually was moving and kind of went sideways and threw this side on pass, and it was right to him. So I was like, man, you know how difficult it is for a big quarterback to be that accurate on a move? But he did. So, I mean, like I said, man, it's a lot of great stuff that we seeing. Yeah, St. John also mentions future wide receiver Bub Means and Trey Palmer. This is true. I think Palmer has 1 year left on his deal, but he's a guy the Saints picked up. This is true. He was hurt. A lot of the Saints see these people as future investments, like the Trey Palmer, Bub Means, which is another wide receiver who had a higher ceiling than Kevin Austin Jr. So these guys will be ready to go this upcoming season too. So we'll see what it looks like, man. They got some weapons there, man. We're gonna see. Abraham said I was talking about the Buck. Okay, I got you, bro. Thank you for that. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Louisville says the QB factory. Yeah, the Brahms, look them up. Look because Louis Riddick was the one. Yeah, he loves Shuck because he understands because this is how I got what Louis Riddick was saying about Tyler Shuck. The key to it is the Brahms. Go look up the Brahms at Louisville and look up their history. Then you'll understand why he feels the way about Tyler Shuck he did. And he mentioned it in this breakdown when he talked about Shuck. He mentioned all his talents. He mentioned that anybody could get hurt with these injuries, but then he mentioned the Brahms, and people kind of went past that. But go look up the Brahms and you'll understand what he's talking about. When he did that, I was like, oh, okay, there it is. That was the key. Fila Phil, what's up, Fro? Says, I don't think we can re-sign Brian Bresee. From what I see, he can still generate the same interior pressure I think Brian Bresee is still under contract, bro. Give me a second. I think Brian Bresee is, he's not going anywhere as far as what I think. Brian Bresee is still under contract. I think he got another year left on this deal. Maybe 2. Yeah, Brian Bresee still under contract, bro. He's not off of contract until after this year. So yeah, they still got Brian Bresee for an additional year. Here go the receipts. He go the receipts for you. See, 2026, $2.4 million they owe him, and then there's no year after that. So yeah, they got him for 2026. So he's still under contract for an additional year. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's keep moving. Yeah, Gundam. What's up, Gundam? Says yes, indeed, man. He says, yeah, Louis Riddick's he loves Chuck. Yeah, he likes him a lot. He talked about throw for throw and all that. And yes, when you look at it, you can see he can make the throw. You know, and he can really get upfield, but his accuracy has improved intermediate wise. And plus he's gotten really better on his throws when he's on the move, because that adds another veneer to his game. It adds another layer, another level to his game, because he getting to the point where he's a dual guy where he can run and pass. Like, people have to start planning for him scrambling. They're going to have to start spying him. And that makes the game, when they started worrying about you scrambling around and moving around and being a factor like that, taking off and all this kind of stuff, that makes it, because guy got to stay there with him. He got to stay there with him. And if that happens, man, he got somebody somewhere is one-on-one, and he going to find him. So, yeah, Valley is a part of it. So, yeah, they got a few people that we're not factoring in. We're thinking about them because they hurt. Divine Valley, Jalen Polk, who they got from the New England Patriots, is a good player. The Saints we was kind of upset about the deal, because who gives up a 6th-round draft pick for an injured player who can't help you until the following year? That was a thought process they were playing chess on. You know, we were like, man, we need wide receivers right now. That's where Trey Palmer came from, and he was hurt. So they're adding these pieces and like almost understanding and, oh, man, these guys can't help us now, but in the future they will. But the Saints gave up a 6th-round pick for a wide receiver that was picked in the 2nd round by the Patriots, and the guy is actually a good wide receiver. He got hurt, and this is really like what, 2nd year, 1st year there, and good route runner. He's not a burner, you know. He's not that kind of dude, but the dude is, you're gonna love Jalen Polk. Go watch his tape. A playmaker. Go watch his tape. All right, yes indeed. All right, so that's what I was saying. Atlanta, Jerome says, what's up, Jerome? Says Atlanta going to hire a white coach to try to give them the credit. I mean, anybody could take the job, but it comes with pressure, because the Falcons, they got questions at the quarterback position. And Penix was a major gamble. You know, Fontenot tried to hedge it by bringing Kirk Cousins along, and it just didn't work. He tried his best. It just didn't work. Penix was a gamble because he was a guy that had a long injury history in college, just like our guy did. You know, so it was a gamble that didn't work out for him. It worked out for us. It didn't work out for them in the long run, but he got hurt and he'd be out for like 9 months. So I don't think he'll be ready in time for the regular season. So they like, okay, do we wait for him to be ready, or do we take another quarterback? That's the whole point. The point is, okay, you take another quarterback, but if you get a new head coach, you're going to want his own quarterback. And the thing about it is, they do not have a 1st-round draft pick. So where you going to get them from? You're going to have to go in for agency and sign a quarterback, and you got a Penix sitting there. How do you handle that? See, that's a dilemma coming in. And also, I mean, you got Bijan Robinson. They got a decent offensive line. You got Drake London. Kyle Pitts is probably not. They're not going to probably pay him for me, to come back. They're probably going another direction on him. But the defense is young and improvement. The special teams is okay. Everywhere else, they're decent. But once again, when you get a new head coach, y'all know, like everybody know, it resets, because the guy got to come in, bring his own stuff in, bring new coaches in. It's a familiarization process to figure out who's who and how it works. You basically reset. So, they'll have to deal with that. A 2-year reset. They just reset 2 years ago, now they resetting again. That's a tough one. So, we'll see how they handle it. I know they was happy to see him go, but I don't know. It might be something else. All right, Gundam says, Q, he says, why was the wide receiver for the Falcons upset at Coach Raheem on the sidelines? I don't know, bro. I seen that, and I'm like, I don't know why he was so upset. I don't know. I don't get that either. One Smoke says, yo, Q, what we do if we get Love, Tate, or Tyson? He says, what we do? What would the call be between Love, Tate, or Tyson? Man, I don't know, man. I like all of those, man. I like all of. I know, but Love will probably be. I don't know. I probably would go with Tate. I would probably go with Tate in there. I know love for me. Love is the best running back in the draft. So is Tate. So it's like you got Chris Olave, right? But you got Chris. He getting up in age. I ain't saying he ain't getting up in age, but he did have some health concerns and he a little banged up here or there. If Chris Olave gets hurt during the season, who do you go to? It kind of weakens your wide receiver room. So I can understand the philosophy of getting a Carnell Tate. He's a future part right there. He's a guy that has the ability to kind of challenge some of these other guys for this position, but he powers up the wide receiver room, and your quarterback could use a guy. And then there's Love, and Jeremiah Love is the best running back in the draft. He can do it all. Catch the ball out the backfield, even though they ain't use it too much, but he did catch a couple of touchdowns out of the backfield running. He can do it. He can run inside, outside. He got the NFL body to deal with it, handling that type of workload. And traditionally, you don't see the Saints operating where they have a single back system, so you don't have to abuse the back, so to speak. You don't have to put wear on them, right? But it does give you a running back weapon that's awesome. So then it just come down to a factor is who do you have ranked higher? Because on my board, I got Tate as the number one wide receiver and Love as the number one running back. It's just about which one will you go to? Which one are you more in need of? Could you use a wide receiver more than a running back? I mean, because common sense, you could wait to next year to get a running back, but think about this. Next year, you're not going to be sitting in a top 10 position. You're not going to be, you see what I'm saying? You got an opportunity here to get a top 10 talent to add along with your quarterback. Next year, you won't be in that position. Hopefully, you might be in the playoffs, so you're going to be picking a lot further back. But when you got an opportunity to swing for the fences and land you a top-notch talent and the best running back in the draft. Now, listen, Love, to me, is Jeremiah Love, and then there's other running backs that are good, but he, to me, is better, way better than any other back. Now, they got good backs that you can get later on, but I would say that he's further higher than any other back in this draft based on what I've seen from other running backs. And Tate is the top wide receiver, but Jordan Tyson is also like up there, but he's not. I think Tate is, to my opinion, is the best in this draft, and I think the closest to him is Tyson. But the bottom line is you could pivot. You could take Love in the first round, and then in the second round you can go and get the kid from the Louisville wide receiver. What's this kid's name? Oh, man. Let's see if I can look it up right quick. Forgot the man name. The wide receiver. I'm drawing blanks on him. Not Lemon, but crap. Chris Bell. The wide receiver from Louisville, where Spencer Rattler comes from. So, I mean, it depends, man, like I said. But you're not going to be picking this high next year, hopefully. So if you get a number one running back in the draft to give a Tyler Shuck, and then later on in the second round you get Chris Bell, the wide receiver from Louisville, and hand him to him, that's like, Then in the third round you take the kid from Oregon as the left guard. That's like, That'd be like, that's you knocked it out of the park. Because you get Chris Olave. I mean, you got Alvin Kamara to act as a mentor to Love, and you got those guys there. And then in the second round, you get Bell, to handle that or whatever. And then you got Pregnon in the third round. You're looking good. So, I mean, yeah, it depends on who you got ranked in your board, bro. I think I would handle it that way. All right, let's keep it going, man. OG Jared says Q Falcons still haven't learned. I know, OG. We got to still tell them. That's what I was saying, man. I was like, man, they can't really celebrate the sweeping because Raheem got fired and Fontenot got fired. See, the hottest story is the coach. Nobody cares about the fact that they swept the Saints. You get that? See, people are not going to even remember this. They're not even remember. It's not even rememberable because number A is more important stories that came out on the same day they won. They couldn't even wait till the next Monday. That's how crazy the Falcons is. Let the man have the win and then fire him like everybody fired their coaches on Black Monday. And he fired his ass right after the game. I didn't mean to laugh. But that's crazy work and dysfunctional behavior by the Falcons. They couldn't even wait till Monday to fire the man. He just won 4 straight. You could have let him have the night. So they fired him and Fontenot the same night. The Saints, they sweep the Saints, and nobody talking about it. They only focused on the fact that they fired their coach. So nobody don't even remember it. See how it worked for the Who Dat Nation? You just keep coming up with wins, bro. That's all you do is win, win, win. That's all the Who Dat Nation do. Even when we lose, we win. Gundam says, Q, you covered Penix's injury history during the draft. I sure did, bro. He says, because I really wanted us to draft him a couple years ago. I was wrong. Yeah, and I talked about the Penix thing. Also talked about, fair enough, about the Tyler Shuck thing. I had reservations about it because I ain't going to say it reminded me of the Penix injury situation, but you got to understand when you have that's yellow and red flags. They're going to try to pretend like it ain't, but I'm telling you, wait until you hear in the draft. You hear in the draft all the time. You hear the same crap. They want to know the injury history of the player. They want to know how many successful seasons the player played in. All that's mentioned in the scouting report, and that is then factored into should you take them or not. It was a big gamble because a lot of people were putting pressure on Kellen Moore to take Shedeur Sanders. Be like, oh, Sanders fell, they're going to take him. But they took Shuck in the 2nd round. And I think when you look at it, taking them in the 2nd round with pick number 40 was a smart move as opposed to saying we're going to take him at the 1st round pick or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Well, we took Kelvin that time, but to get Tyler Shuck with the 2nd round pick, usually be like, man, that's a huge gamble. Based on his history, you just won the gamble. That's what gambling is. Either you win or you lose. Ain't no in between. We won. We just happened to win, fam. We won. Like I said, all we do is win, win, win. That's what we do. All right. Shout out to y'all. What's up, Nola J? Thank y'all, man. Roll. Yeah, there you go. Chris Bell. That's the guy. Yeah, he says from Louisville, Shuck and Bell are very, yes, indeed. It could be a 2nd round guy. I think a lot of them are anticipating him to go in the second round. That's what they're saying with Chris Bell. Because they got several other wide receivers that'll head out. Obviously Tate and Tyson, those guys. But the USC wide receiver, they got him ahead of them. The guy from Boston, the wide receiver from Washington, he's ahead of them. We'll see how it look in the combine. The young wide receiver from Texas A&M, is it? Concepcion. They got him ranked, so it depends. But they have Chris Bell with a 2nd round grade. Saints could be there. You get your running back round 1, your wide receiver round 2, your lineman in round 3. Might be all right. Jared says Saints running back room is confusing. So much potential in Miller and Neal, but no production yet, so it's hard to say it's worth taking a running back. That's what I'm saying. Like if you had a surefire star, say Q, we got Neal would be the guy, this type of thing. You could say, yeah, but you got Elvin Kamara on an expiring contract. Devin Neal, who looks good with potential, but you don't know. Kendre Miller, who's been hurt every year that he's been for you, so you can't count on him. And then you go to your 4th string running back, which is the 5'11", 220-pound 4th round running back we recently just had. I forgot the man name that damn fast, man. Y'all help me out, man. Forgot his damn name that fast. But that's what we got to deal with, right? We got to deal with that sort of thing. But you'll be well within your right to get a top-notch guy. Audric Estime. You like, oh, okay. So I mean, like I said, Love is awesome, bro. It depends. All right. Love's equals 2 rushes. I know, Tim. 2 rushes, 1st down for Love. He's stellar. He could be, I'm not going to even say what he could be because we had some fantastic running backs that we took in the 1st round, whether you talk about guys like Deuce McAllister or Reggie Bush or guys like that, man. We had some phenomenal 1st round draft picks, but that guy is different. I mean, he we'll see. We'll see. Jade says, Q, he said, you are the Saints. What are your offseason plans for the Saints? to get back to the playoffs next season. I think that's what we're hoping for, and it's all based upon the 2026 offseason, how they draft and what they do in free agency, and if they can capture the magic, meaning sustain, like they developed identity. That's what you need to win. You got to have an identity to play through, offensively and defensively. The Saints exhibited that over the last 5 weeks. It wasn't perfect, but you could see in parts they used the identity to move the ball like toward the game when Shuck threw the interception. It panned to him on the sideline. He was visibly upset. You know, he was fussing and everything, mad at himself. And then what he did, he went out there and willed the touchdown. So it's like, you know, getting comfortable enough where you then take possession of the game and use what you got to use to win the game. The Saints should have won the game, but the bottom line is they were missing everybody, almost everybody. Shit, Taysom Hill got hurt in the game. You know, see what I'm saying? Guys were falling out of there, and they still made it a game. So I mean, it's positive. Greg says, just like you said, Q, it's a gamble. Yeah, we won. We won the gamble because that's all you can do when you're doing the scout work, fam. You do the scout work, and you rely on the traditional and the fundamentals that you know that got you through the draft. How you scout or grade players. It's every year, and you rely on the red flags. You got green lights and red flags, yellow flags before red flags. And Shuck's scouting was very positive. Loved the height, great arm, athletic ability, not enough production. He did that 1 year. He did it 1 year. That's a huge gamble, you know, because they'll do that. They'll talk about, well, how many years were you able to reproduce it? It's just, you know, but it's a gamble, and the Saints won the gamble. We won. Gundam says Miller needs to make up his mind and work on his young body. All these injuries is an indicator of lazy approach to his craft. We'll see, bro. Miller's in trouble, man. He says also, BQ, we can't forget the free agent market for Walker and Hall might be available. Indeed, bro. Indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Estime. L-Dub. Estime is the fourth stringer. I mean, that's a guy you got to add into your room. After how you played on the back end of the season, you want Audric Estime to come back to kind of, you know, help you out there. Jerome says he thinks we get a cornerback or a cornerback too. I believe we need a cornerback. It depends on Alante. Like I said, all this change is based on what the Saints do. Right now, I didn't like how Chris Olave sounded in the final interview of the season. When asked about his contract, he said he did all that I can do, and it's on them now. I did all that I can do, is on them now, which means there's something going, you know, not as flowingly with these negotiations that they've been telling us about for the last 2 months at least. That I remember we've been talking about the Saints been negotiating. It's reported they were negotiating with Chris Olave. We haven't heard any numbers. And I didn't he sounded like he was a little frustrated in that interview. And then, of course, there has been no news at all about the fact that the Saints, even though they got Chris Olave, with one more year left on a $15 million, they got $15 million attached to a $15 million contract. Chris Olave, Alante Taylor is unrestricted. They hadn't said anything about that, which means it's going to be an open bidding war for Olave, for Chris, I keep saying Chris Olave, for Alante Taylor. But the thing is, I ask y'all this, and I think they'll make an attempt to try to re-sign the man. The question I have for you guys is, there were trade rumors around Alante Taylor before the line hit. Y'all remember that? Put one in the chat if you remember that. If you wasn't going to trade him, then why are you not talking about negotiating with him? And you already said that it's his first time hitting free agency. He talked to other people. He loves his agent, which means he's going to try to get some money out you. Now, I'm saying the Saints, they could pay. They can afford to pay for both of these guys. Well, let's just see how they handle it. But if they don't, and they get somebody can come along and give a lot of money to Alante Taylor, it happens every year to people, certain cats. They can say, man, we're going to pay. They might pay him more than what we're willing to offer. But obviously what's going on here, the technique is this. The Saints are going to allow Alante Taylor's value to dictate the market. They're going to allow these teams here to dictate the market to see what's going on here. So it's a potential that they can lose Alontae Taylor in this free agency cycle. There's a real potential, and not so much with the Chris Olave thing because I know they still got that extra year there. But in terms of Alontae unrestricted, there's a real potential that he lose him. And if they do lose him, then you pivot to Mansour Delaney from LSU. That's what I think you do. If Alontae Taylor is gone, then LSU cornerback Mansour Delaney would be the guy that I would take with the first round pick. That's what I would do under that scenario. Gundam says Loomis needs to be very smart in the rebuild. Hope he doesn't mess up the draft. I think Kellen Moore is in control. You see, what was our other guy there? He's running it as well. Our scouting director is involved, and they put together a solid group. They drafted really well, and if they follow that formula next year, this year, I think we should be fine. We know they're going to draft the best people available at the top of the draft. Sometimes they do that, even though the guy might not fit a need, but sometimes that happens. All right, Lester, shout out to Lester Shipman says, Q, who are your top 3 tight ends in this draft? Top 3 tight ends, not really big on the tight ends in this draft, bro. Let's see. What's the kid from I'm not really big on him. I guess Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. I've seen Eli Stowers play. I like him. I ain't gonna rank him in a certain kind of order because I don't have like a top tight end. But Stowers from Vanderbilt, Michael Trigg is another good tight end I like. What's his name? Max Clare, Ohio State. The guy from Ohio State's pretty decent. I like him. But I ain't got somebody that's like a top guy, in the draft. I'm like, oh, you got to go and get them. The Oregon kid is good too. The Oregon kid is good too. He's pretty cool. I watched him play in the games. The Oregon tight end is pretty good. I guess you would consider him the best tight end in the draft. The kid from Oregon. But yeah, that's some of them, bro. I'm not really too high on some of these tight ends in the draft, but I do like Stowers because he played at Vanderbilt. I've seen him have some good plays for them, but that's a couple of the ones that I see there. IL Dubs asks, how long do we have to wait this year for Loomis end of the season presser? That's a good question, bro. Usually you might get that next week just because you said it. And he let, line out, goddammit. I'll call you when I'm ready. And you're gonna sit there, you're gonna see the most gloatiness Mickey Loomis, but credit to Mickey Loomis. We beat him up. Jeff Ireland, there you go. Thank you, bro. I forgot the damn man's name. It don't even matter no more. Sometimes I forgot his name. Jeff Ireland. But yeah, the scouting director, him and Kellen Moore have a good relationship. Them guys, Kellen Moore picks the guys that he wants. He brings Brandon Staley into the line, say, hey, what guys do you need? Remember, early on, he was allowing Brandon Staley to pick the players. Remember, we were saying that. It was the defense. We knew the defense was ultimately going to be good because they were picking up all these players. They got Jonah Williams. They got Jonathan Bullard. They got Chris Rump II. They were picking up all these people. They got Julian Blackman. They were picking up all these players. And they got all the draft picks like Vernon Brockton, Danny Stutzman, Jonas Sanker, Quincy Riley. They were getting all these defensive players and so he basically constructed his defense. He was really proactive. And then later on, I was like, what? Why is Kellen Moore not moving like Staley? He didn't start moving like him until right before the regular season started. That's when he started trading for people. That's when he sent Bink Saunders out for Fortner. That's when he traded the pick to land Asim Richards, the backup tackle. That's when he claimed Xavier Truss off of the waiver wire, wherever he was at. You see what I'm saying? He started then making a trade to get Divine Valley. You see what I'm saying? He started literally building his offense, but he didn't do it at the same time Staley was doing. Staley was doing all this way proactive. Then Kellen got going later. So, it is what it is, bro. It's just knowing what you need. Like we were saying it the whole time, bro. You need a big wide receiver. Why is Brandon Cooks here? Everything you saying was vindicated. They weren't right with everything. It's just sometimes people seem to be nearsighted. Like when you see, well, Q, I told you such and such was going to be doing this, that, and the third, and you said this. And I was like, I said it, I said it because it was time appropriate. What you mean? When I said it, that guy was stinking. And we said what he was supposed to say. Well, he dropping way too many passes, dropping touchdowns, he missing blocks. He ain't doing it later on. He improved his technique, but he did, at that point, he was stinking. So you said it. He was stinking, so you was right. He improved later on. That's how it go. But, you know, sometimes we get a little nearsighted where we forget about that. I don't forget about that. I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to just tell you straight up, hey, man, I'm not nearsighted, man. I seen what happened. I seen how, you know, we thinking about what happened the last 4 games, but them other games when he was dropping touchdown passes, you don't remember that one, huh? So it's a part of the game. It's about getting better. That's what you want him to be. You want him to be better. You want him to do better. But Megan Loomis, like I said, is just allowing Kellen Moore to pick his team. He's allowing him and his defensive coordinator to do what they're supposed to do. But he's going to be going at that press conference. But then again, you're not going to get any answers either from the press conference. You're going to get a lot of stuff. You know what you get from Megan Loomis every year. You don't really get a lot. You don't say anything that is really groundbreaking. I mean, it's you know, he gets up there and you laugh at his voice, but outside of that, there's nothing really much that, you know, you're going to learn from Mickey Loomis at the end of the season press conference. But you probably get that next week. L-Dub said, how long do we have? Later on this week. It might be Wednesday. It might be Thursday. He'll pop up with a press conference. It'll be before the weekend watch. How long do we have until we wait? Yeah, I answered that. Thank you, bro. Say, how would you rate Crystal? He says, how would you rate QB's tackles and wide receiver Chris Olave as a top QB and wide receiver duo into the 2026? Tyler Shuck, I see what you did, TS. And as duo ranking, man, I don't know. They really got going in his 9 games together. They really got going in that game. It's tough to rank them, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that, Jaden. That's a good one, bro. I don't know. It's tough. They really got going in them 9 games though. With Chris Olave and Tyler Shuck, man, they really got going. Like his numbers were cool, but there were games where Tyler Shuck would throw the ball to Chris Olave like 12 times, 14 times, and he'll grab like 8 of them, 9 of them. I remember games with him throwing to him, targeting him like 14, 12, 13, 11, 15, 16 times in a game. The guy would get like 8, 9. You know, you see what I'm saying? It'd be like check down throws because early on he was checking the ball down a lot to Chris Olave. And Chris Olave benefited by a lot of them check down throws. Then later on you start seeing him take shots down the field when the offense wasn't moving. And Chris will have like 8, 9 catches for like 50 yards. Y'all remember them games? And then you see the catches kind of got a little sneaky. And really, truthfully, if it was more vertical, that man should have had like over 1,500 yards catching if it was more vertical. But it was like you target him like 10 times, he catch like 7, 8 passes, or 12 times he catch like 8, 9. But you see what I'm saying? But it was always like 8 catches for like 70 yards. And no touchdown or something like that, 60 yards. You see them? Y'all remember them games? We wasn't moving the post, but you know, at the end of the day, it added up. It added up. All right, Jared says Taylor's a great tackler, but terrible in coverage. He gave up several. He admitted to it too. He said he left interceptions out there. There were games where I was really frustrated with Alontae Taylor. You know, like there was a game where he was in man-to-man coverage with Hopkins. Y'all remember that game when he was lined up with Hopkins and Hopkins just did a little move on him and then caught the touchdown? I was like, come on, bro. And he just walked off the field like he didn't give up. I was like, bro, come on, man. You didn't even try, dog. You know, in other plays, he shows up here or there. He has coverage skills. Him tackling and coming on the blitz is really awesome. But his coverage skills at times, like when he's like doing this, you know, it's not quite the same. That's why you don't have a lot of interceptions. But, it's we'll see what they do with him, bro. You know, but like I said, if he's gone, I would take Delaney from LSU. That's the top cornerback in the draft to me. With that pick, if he not made. Colorado, what's up, fam? How you doing, Colorado? Big ups to you. All right, And Mary says, make a press conferences with. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. See, I was like, I know it was coming. It's going to be probably sometimes in the middle of the week, or it's going to be before the weekend, because Mickey ain't going to work on the weekend. Wow, you goddamn right. You're damn right. I'm not working on the weekend, goddamn it. You know it. Gregory said, I trust Kellen Moore and his crew. Yeah, he got something positive going on here. Yeah, it's on Wednesday morning, and Kellen will be there on Wednesday morning too. That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, they must have just posted it, man, because I didn't see it originally. So I guess people asked for it, but be prepared to not learn anything. I'll listen to Kellen Moore, but Mickey Loomis, we'll just laugh at Mickey Loomis, He ain't gonna be saying, I know, listen. Didn't I tell you guys? I know, I'm the king of this stuff here. I showed you guys, and I'm not gonna show you guys. I haven't showed your asses. I see, I'm the king of this stuff here. I told you Kellen Moore would be all that. Now Kellen's the guy. I told you that. Shut up, Mickey. But there it is right there, fam. Yeah, they just put it up. It says live in 36 hours, January the 7th at 11 a.m. So there you go, fam. Y'all got y'all answer. All right, anyway, with that, yeah, he ain't going to be smacking gum because he going to want to be heard. So he ain't going to be smacking no gum. He gonna want to be heard. This is the first time Mickey in a while is going to be able to kind of pat himself on the back, so he's going to be really happy. He's going to be, we're looking good here. I'm telling you, we're awesome here. I'm telling you guys here. Oh my God damn it! I'm so happy here, and hold on. Look at his face on there. You can see right there. He ready to talk right now. Hold on now, Gail. Hold on now. Let me tell you something. Give you a little game here. First and foremost, I'm the greatest. Number one. I moved all these chairs back in this press conference room, and I put little mats on the ground here, and that's for your comfort, because all of you guys, I want all you media guys to get down and prostrate before me right now. Bow down to the mightiness of Mickey Loomis. That's right. Bow down. I told you guys. Oh, goddamn it. I've been doing this for 150 years. I'm older than the league itself. You know that the Loomis company, the money company. I own that. That's y'all thought you thought Gil owned the team. Goddamn it. Loomis, the money car company. That's me. I own that son bitch. I own the team. I told you guys that. That's right. Those Loomis trucks you see. That's me, baby. Hold on now, goddammit. I own the team. I just let you pretend. I pretend that Gail owns the team. She works for me, goddammit. Now, hold on. I told you I am the man around here. Goddammit. All right, Mickey. All right, calm down. Slow down, Rick. Slow it down, Mickey. Slow it down. Slow it down, Mickey. Calm down. But Mickey going to be glowing, man. Listen, like I said, shout out to Mickey Loomis, because we've been giving Mickey Loomis hell, and rightfully so. But when they get it right, you have to be fair. When they get it right, listen, fam, I've been giving Mickey Loomis hell, and rightfully so. But when they get it right, you can't keep giving them hell. That makes you look like you have something personal against the person, right? And that's not what this is. All we want to see the team do is win. That's all we want to see. We just want to see the team win and do very well. That's the interest from the entire mighty Who Dat Nation. We want to see the team win. We do not believe in losing. So, but when Mickey Loomis gets it right, you got to give Mickey credit. You got to, I don't need credit, goddammit, Q. I want praise. I want absolute praise. You guys, some goddamn guys, I told you. I warned you, baby. We're going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I'm telling you. I know. He ain't going to be that. He ain't going to stand on that branch. He ain't going to throw that out there. Mickey ain't going to do that. He ain't going to stand on that branch. But you got to give him, man, credit, man. Give him credit when they do when they do something good, and give them hell when they don't. But this is the thing, you got to give them some credit for that. So shout out to Mickey Loomis. I still think you need to step down as the general manager and just stay a VP and let Kai Hartley be the general manager. I still believe in that. All right. Shout out to you. Hold on now, goddammit. I told you guys. The Loomis trucks, the money trucks, that's me, baby. I told you. You thought that Gail owned this team. What? I told you. It's Mickey Mouse Loomis. I run this goddamn team. I'm the man over here, goddammit. And I moved all these chairs out of here for you media people, so you bow down and worship me. I'm Mickey Loomis. That's right, goddammit. I'm the man around this joint. All right, Mickey, slow down. Calm down, Mickey. It's all right. Shout out to Scoob, man. Shout out to Scoob. All right, anyway, man, with that being said, man, listen, I'm going to get ready to get on up out of here, man. I appreciate hollering at y'all tonight on this recap, the New Orleans Saints 2025 season review recap of the entire 2025 regular season. Man, listen, man, this was an interesting year, but like I said, we finished 6-11. The point and pivot of it now is we've got an identity offensively. We got an identity defensively. We got the quarterback of the future to build around. And now those are the tough things. We saw that in the losing year. Now it's time to add to that and build forward and turn this around. We can turn this around next year with a proper free agency and a draft cycle. We can get back to relevance again. That's the whole thing. All right, with that being said, man, I'm going to get on up out of here. I appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Peace, and Who Dat Nation.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section.